A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Jerry of the Circus. Jerry of the Circus.
Hey, Jojo,
Just a minute, folks.
Pipe down there. Mr. Randall wants to talk.
Yes, hey, give the boss a chance.
Thank you, boys. All right, now, if you'll all be quiet for a few minutes, I'm afraid I've got some bad news for you. Now, wait until I'm through, and then you can all talk it over. I'm sorry, I have to tell you that Jim Bennett has been robbed of the payroll money.
No.
You don't say.
Well, what about our pay?
Yeah, what about our bill?
Now, just a minute. Keep cool. You'll all be paid every cent you've got coming to you. But not today. Now, listen, folks. Now, wait a minute, listen. We've always worked together on things, and I'm sure none of you will fail me now. I'm going to have to make some investigations, naturally. Meantime, I'll have some more money sent over, and you'll all get your pay tomorrow. I'm sorry to be a day late, but I'm sure you'll all bear with me.
Sure, boss.
Yeah, it's okay with me, Governor.
All right, folks, that's all. Go on with your lunch now. So long, folks. Oh, hello there, Patsy.
Hello, Mr. Randall.
How's the new act coming along? Think it'll be ready to put on the show pretty soon?
I hope so, Mr. Randall. Oh, how awful about the robbery. Was Jim hurt?
Isn't that like a woman? Always got to worry about someone else. Well, not seriously, Patsy, just a bump on the head.
Oh, what a shame.
Did you see anybody, Randall?
I'm afraid I'll have to keep his remarks confidential for the present, Jason. By the way, drop by my office after you've had your lunch. There's something I'd like to discuss with you.
Certainly. And if there's anything I can do about this payroll business, you can count on me.
Well, we'll see. Goodbye, Patsy.
Bye, Mr. Randall.
Just a minute, Mr. Randall.
Yes, Jason?
I'm not hungry now, and if you don't mind, I'll run along with you now.
Fine. Glad to have you.
Gee, this is terrible.
Yes, I'm afraid it is, Jason.
What about Bennett?
Well, I didn't want to upset Patsy, but he was pretty badly knocked about.
Has he seen a doctor yet?
Is he there now? Jerry happened to be on the spot when I discovered the thing, and he's gone with him.
Good. What's on your mind, Mr. Randall?
I just wanted you to identify something for me. Here's my office. Step right in, will you?
Identify? What do you mean?
Well, here it is. You recognize this?
Sure. Well, that's the gun I reported lost. That's mine, all right.
I thought so, but I wasn't quite sure of the number. No, don't touch it. I'm keeping it wrapped in this handkerchief in case there might be fingerprints on it.
Oh, look, part of the handle's been knocked off.
Yes, I know. Was it like that when you last saw it?
No, sir. That's happened since I last used it.
You don't say.
Good heavens. You don't mean... You certainly can't think I've had anything to do with this business.
I don't want to think so, Jason. But, well, where were you from 11:30 to 12:30 this noon?
Well, I guess I was taking a walk before lunch.
That's fine. Who were you with?
I wasn't with anybody.
Well, certainly someone saw you someplace. What part of town were you in?
Gee, Mr. Randall, I went out the other way, into the country. Went right along the railroad tracks, and when that noon train passed me, I headed back here for lunch.
You mean you haven't anyone to vouch for having seen you?
Well, I'm afraid I haven't.
Well, pretty tough, Jason.
Golly, Mr. Randall, you don't think that I'm the kind to pull a stick up.
I don't want to think so.
Is there anything I can do to clear myself?
Bring in the real culprit.
And if you don't think I'll try that, you're crazy.
But don't go off this lot. I'm sorry, but I'll have to keep you under surveillance until this thing is settled.
Well, that's fair enough. Got any tips to give me?
I'm afraid not, Jason. After all, you're a suspect until we can prove someone else had this gun since you claim to have lost it.
Okay. I'll prove I'm innocent if it's the last thing I do.
Mr. Randall. Mr. Randall. Oh, hello, Jason.
Hi, Jerry. What's on your mind?
Gee, Mr. Randall, the doc says Mr. Bennett's got to stay in bed.
No.
Jerry, sure?
Yep. Says maybe he's got a concussion or something, and Bennett says he won't stay in bed. He's going along with the show, and he's raving something terrible and calling for you. And, well, so I came as quick as I could.
I'll get down there right away. Oh, by the way, Jason, I wouldn't repeat our little conversation.
No, of course not.
I'll talk to Barney, and he'll see that everything is going along as I want it.
I understand. He's a good policeman.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'll get down to Jim. Sorry, I'll have to lock this door now, so you better come on out, you two.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Randall.
Well, so long.
Goodbye. Gee, isn't this exciting? A real hold-up and everything.
Yeah, a little too exciting.
You won't be mad if I ask you something.
Of course not.
Well, Mr. Bennett and Mr. Randall,
Yes, Jerry?
they seem to think that gun.
Belong to me?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Because it does belong to me.
No, it can't, Jason.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid it does.
Gee,
Oh, but don't worry, Jerry. I didn't pull that hold up.
golly,
Someone stole that revolver from me before you even joined this circus.
yeah, Mr. Randall said something about it, but
They said it all might be a plant?
what's a plant?
Or just a plan. To pretend I'd lost it so when something like this turned up, I wouldn't be to blame.
Golly, you know everything, don't you?
I sure wish I did. But for one thing, I've got a good suspicion. I've got to see Bumps. Maybe he can help me.
He's pretty good at thinking things out, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Well, here's the wagon. Bumps! Say, Bumps!
Oh, hello there. Well, hello, Jason. Any news?
Plenty. Is Lorenz around?
No. Why?
No, Decker?
No, as a matter of fact, they went into town today. They ought to be getting back here soon, though. It's time to be getting to work.
Now, listen, Bumps. I'm not trying to put an idea in your head, but you dress in the same wagon, and I just wondered if you'd ever noticed either of them with a gun.
Can't say as I have. Anyhow, they aren't allowed to have guns. Why?
Well, you don't happen to know where they were around noon today. They were at lunch, you know.
Sure we know, don't we, Bumps? They went into town. We saw them go.
Yeah, that was just about 11, or maybe a little after.
Well, it looks like they're in the clear then, doesn't it?
Oh, you mean about the robbery?
Yeah. You see, my gun was found on the floor.
Yours?
Yeah, and it just happens that I was off in the country taking a walk all alone, and I haven't anyone to prove where I was just at that time.
Oh, Jason, that's bad.
Yeah, it's tough. Oh, but I'll manage somehow. Well, guess I better get ready for the act. I go on pretty soon.
Don't let it get you down, Jason. There's lots of things can happen.
I'm finding that out. So long, folks.
Bye, Jason.
So long.
Aw, gee, Bumps, we just got it clear, Jason.
Yeah. Well, son, looks as if we need a good detective around here. What with all that alfalfa disappearing and now the bankroll.
Gee, these robbers aren't afraid of anything. They go off with truckloads of things at night and money in broad daylight and right in front of everybody.
Oh, here's your chance to do a little super sleuthing, Jerry. Well, I'm sorry, but I got to get in and finish dressing. Those knife throwers better be getting here pretty soon.
That looks like Decker now.
Where?
Down near the sideshows. See, with the beard.
Yeah, good. That's him, all right. Well, I'll be seeing you, son.
So long, Bumps. Rags. Now listen, Rags. You and me are going to be detectives. But we mustn't let anybody know it. Just Bumps, and he won't tell. Golly, you're wonderful, Rags. The way you pick things up. I think you're a knockout. Now, don't wag your tail so hard. It might fly off. Honest, it's a wonder it doesn't swing you instead of you swinging it.
Hello, Jerry. And Mr. Rags.
Hi, Decker.
What's this, a conference?
It sure is. Rags and me, well, we got big business.
Oh, you have. What's it all about?
Well, I guess we can't tell you. It's official business, you know, and kind of private.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to be rude.
Gee, I didn't mean it that way, Mr. Decker. I was just honest.
I know. I guess I can take a hint. Oh, gee, I forgot. I've got to get these knives and go over and meet Lorenz.
Isn't Lorenz going to make up?
Oh, he's already made up. When we got back from town, we stopped by our compartment in the train, and he fixed up there a little. He was kind of tired,
Just from going into town?
Oh, well, guess I better get those knives.
Well, hi, Decker.
Hi, Bumps. I gotta hurry. Lorenz is waiting for these knives.
He kind of keeps you hopping, doesn't he?
Well, I work for him. He's boss.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are all kinds of bosses, you know.
Well, I got the knives. Guess I better beat it.
Why, Jerry, I thought you'd gone to bed.
Well, I did, but I can't sleep.
Well, what's the matter?
I just can't get things out of my mind.
What kind of thing?
Oh, the money and the alfalfa and...
No, listen, Jerry. Even detectives have to sleep.
I know, but listen, Bumps. I won't disturb anyone. Lorenz and Decker were asleep. They didn't even hear us leave. Can't I just go out on the back platform and sit for a while with Rags?
Yeah, it's kind of late now. I just got up to get a drink of water. Everyone on the train's asleep.
I know, but we'll be quiet.
Well, okay, son, but mind you don't stay too long. There'll be another big day tomorrow, you know. Lots of buckets to carry, robbery or no robbery.
I know. Thanks, Bumps. We'll be good, won't we, Rags? Shh, don't answer me now. Just let me talk.
Well, that's certainly taken an unfair advantage. Good night, son.
Night, Bumps. Gee, isn't it swell out here? Golly, I love to be out in the middle of the night. You do, too? Well, I don't blame you. Golly, it's most morning, though, now. There, Pup. What? Where? I don't see anything. Shh, not so loud. Just a minute. Let me look around. Oh, so that's it. Certainly does look funny. Yeah, right over there by the horse tent, too. Yeah, can you see those shadows? Shh. Something sure enough moving. Golly, what do you think we'd better do, huh? Okay, we'll call someone. I know. Let's get Jason. Shh, not so loud. After all, he's in a bad spot. And if he can catch the real burglars, I think he should, don't you? Stop it, not so loud. Come on now, quiet. Let's see, I think Jason's compartment is right near this end. Yeah, I guess this is it.
Yeah? Yeah? Who is it?
It's me.
Who's me?
It's me, Jerry.
What do you want in the middle of the night? Come on in.
Gee, Jason, something's going on over in the circus lot.
What on earth are you talking about?
Honest, I'm not kidding. Right around the horse stand.
What?
Rags and me. We couldn't sleep, so we went out on the platform. All of a sudden, Rags started to growl, and there, sure enough, I could see something moving around the horse stand.
Well, maybe you've discovered something. Come on, we'll sneak out of here and find out what's what. Let's see. My flashlight and my gun. Okay, Jerry, come on.
Dragnet. Detective Sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. For the past 10 days, a gunman has been terrorizing the downtown area of your city. You know he's armed and dangerous. Your job? Stop him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, October 5th. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of robbery details. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Chief Detective Staff Brown. My name's Friday. I was on my way back from Metropolitan Division. It was 7:56 p.m. when I got to City Hall. Robbery squad room.
Hey, buddy, you didn't have to make a special trip in to bring the tie.
Well, I might have forgot it tomorrow and left it in the car again. Here you are.
Oh, thanks. Hey, the card's still in the box, you want?
No.
Hey, look at this. Real pretty. Go good with my brown suit. Real silk, too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty clever idea, putting a name on a tie like that. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to do the same thing with ink and paper when I was a kid. You know, put a gob of ink on the paper and then fold it over.
Mm-hmm.
And get some pretty weird-looking pictures. This name business makes a nice, neat tie pattern, don't you think, Joe?
Yeah, if you don't mind the switch.
On the name, you mean?
Yeah.
No. Unless you're looking for it, you wouldn't know it said Joe Friday. Here, take a look. See? This is how it's going to be when I'm wearing it. It's kind of hard to see.
Yeah, well, as long as you're satisfied, you're the one that's going to wear it.
Well, sure. Looks great to me. Of course, if you're going to turn your head sideways and read it, then you can see it says Joe Friday, but I don't think people are going to go to all that trouble. You think so?
No, I don't think so. You talk Stoner?
Yeah, says they'll meet us later.
All right, better get going, huh?
Yeah.
Want to get your coat? It's coming down pretty hard out there.
Right. You think it'll keep the suspect inside?
I don't know. It isn't going to work for us. Hot shot, I got it. Let's go. 211 at Flower and 14th. Frank and I left the office and drove out to the address. It was a small neighborhood liquor store. In spite of the heavy rain, a large crowd had already gathered in front of the place. We parked our car and tried to get into the store. Let us through here, folks, please.
Now, stop pushing. There's no reason to give you a special pass.
Police officer, let us through.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
It's all right. Let us through here.
I've been around, seen a lot of tough guys, but there was something wrong with this fellow.
Back there, Joe. Now.
You call the ambulance yet? Can't we do something for poor Claude? Don't just let him lay there.
You from downtown?
That's right. Friday and Smith sent for robbery. Did you answer the call?
Me and my partner.
That him outside?
That's right.
You get a description?
It's out.
Okay.
Ain't anybody going to ask me what happened?
Yes, sir. Just a minute, please.
Seems all you fellas are interested in is what the guy looked like. Don't nobody want to know what happened?
Yes, sir, we do. If you'll wait just a minute, please.
No choice.
Anything more I can do here?
No, not right now.
Okay. I'll be outside if you need anything.
Right, thanks. All right, sir. You want to tell us?
About time.
What's that?
All this running around and yelling. Wonder you fellas don't catch anybody. Don't slow down long enough for me to tell you what happened.
Uh-huh. You want to go ahead?
Worst thing I ever saw in my whole life. Most terrible.
Yes, sir. Were you alone in the store when the shooting occurred?
No.
Who else was there?
Claude, Anita, and me.
Claude's the victim, that's right.
Yeah. That's him there.
Yes, sir.
Don't you think somebody ought to do something for him? Seems like the ambulance ought to be here.
Well, he's dead, sir.
Claude?
That's right.
You've got to catch the fellow who done this. Most brutal thing I ever saw. No reason for any of it. That guy was off his rocker.
You mentioned somebody named Anita. Is she still here?
Yeah, in the back room. She wasn't feeling too good. Almost scared her half to death. Went back there to take an aspirin and lay down, scared.
I wonder if we could talk to her.
You have to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll go get her. You just wait here. Anita? Anita? It's me, Hanley. Can you come out? Police. They want to talk to you.
We don't like to bother you, lady. We'll try to be as brief as possible.
It's all right.
Would you give us your name?
This is Miss Anita Blaine. I'm Hanley Dawson. I don't think you told us your names.
Miss Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Hello.
How you doing?
Is there anything we can get for you, Miss Blaine?
No, I'm all right now.
All right. Would you tell us what happened?
We was back of the counter playing a game of cribbage.
You and the victim?
Yeah, me and Claude. His full name's Claude Langford. We was there playing the game.
Were you in the store at the time?
No, I came in later.
I'm trying to tell you in the right order. Can't do it if you're going to keep interrupting.
All right, you go right ahead.
Oh, we were having a good game. Claude was ahead, already made the first turn. Oh, my crib and I really had a good hand. Might have caught him.
Yes, sir.
We were just about to play the hand when the door opened. Kind of surprising.
Why is that?
Didn't figure anybody'd be out on a night like this.
I see.
It was this young kid.
All right, go ahead.
Come in and ask me where we kept the canned nuts. You know, cashews and almonds.
Yes, sir.
Pointed it out for him. He went over to have a look.
Mm-hmm.
Claude and me started back to the game, but the kid found what he wanted, and he come up to the counter.
All right.
I got up to wait on him. Handed me a $5 bill for 2 cans of peanuts.
Yeah.
Opened the register to get change. That's when he pulled the gun.
Now, where'd he have the gun?
In his overcoat pocket. It was funny, though. And not funny, ha-ha, but funny. Odd. You know?
How do you mean that?
Well, you know how most raincoats have a little slit in the pocket so you can reach into your pants pockets without unbuttoning your raincoat?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, the kid unbuttoned his coat and reached right through the slit with the gun. Kind of like this. See? See?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what did he say when he showed you the gun?
Like this. This is a stick-up. Keep your mouth shut and you might not get hurt. Might. That's what he said.
Mm-hmm. What happened then?
Told both Claude and me to come out from behind the counter. Said for us to lay down on the floor.
Yeah.
We did like he said, you know. There was just something about that kid, so you had to go his way.
Mm-hmm.
He made us lay down right there, where Claude is now, on our stomachs.
Yeah, what happened then?
Went over and took the money out of the cash register. Then he really got sore. I thought he was going to explode.
Why, do you know?
Wasn't much for him to take, only about $20, $25. Guess he expected more.
I see.
He come over to where me and Claude were on the floor. Told us to take the money out of our pocket. Stood there with a gun pointed right at us. He was mad.
Mm-hmm. He did what he said.
You just bet we did. I only had about $6 on me. Gave it right to him, though.
Yeah.
That's when Anita here come into the store. Just walked in, like a rabbit into a fox's trap.
That's right. I didn't have any idea what was going on.
Couldn't you see through the door?
I guess I should have, but it was raining so hard I didn't take the time.
Glass was kind of steamed up, too. Made it tough to look in.
I see. Well, what happened when the hold-up man saw you?
He told me to keep my mouth shut, not to make a sound, and get down on the floor.
Just like us.
Mm-hmm.
He grabbed my purse and took the wallet out, went through it and took the money.
How much was it?
Just a couple of dollars. I came over to get a bottle of wine, and I only took what I needed.
All right. You want to go on?
He started on Claude. Told him to empty his pockets.
Yeah.
Claude didn't take too kindly to the way this fellow was acting. If he'd just come in and taken the money, it might have been different. But Claude don't like to be shoved around.
Yeah.
He did like the kid told him, though. Emptied his pockets right out.
I see, sir.
Well, you'd just figure the man was real sore when he saw how much money he was going to get.
Yeah.
You see, Claude don't work. He's got some kind of pension. All alone in the world, he usually don't have much money. Main reason he comes over to play cards. He ain't got nothing else to do. And it's free.
Mm-hmm. How much do you have on him tonight?
37 cents. Kid saw that. I thought sure he's going to kill us all.
He sure acted like it.
Then he figured maybe Claude was holding out on him. Told him to turn his pockets inside out.
He did like he was told.
Yeah.
When he did, something fell out of his pocket. A coin hit the floor and rolled around, disappeared under the counter over there.
The man with the gun saw it and got real mad. Said Claude tried to get away with something. Said for him to go pick up the coin.
Claude told him if he wanted it that bad, he could get it himself.
Yeah.
Fellow just looked at Claude for a minute, and then put the gun right against his head. Right here, see? Didn't say a word. Just pulled the trigger.
He was crazy.
No reason for it. Claude must have been dead when he hit the floor.
Just brutal.
What'd he do then?
Ran outside.
Did you try and follow him?
No, sir. Me and Anita were trying to see if there was anything we could do for Claude.
Did the man get into a car, do you know?
I didn't see. Might have, but I didn't see it.
Did you hear a car?
No.
Uh-huh. Have you ever seen the man around here before?
Not that I remember. A lot of people go by the door. Hard to pick one, make it stand out.
You'd know him again if you saw him, though, would you?
I think so.
I would.
Ma'am?
Never forget the way he looked at me. Like some kind of animal.
I see.
Something about his eyes. He looked crazy, real wild.
Well, how do you mean that?
Well, he wasn't looking right at us. Like there was somebody standing behind me. He was looking at them. He couldn't focus, you know.
I know what you mean.
Say, did you see the coin that Langford dropped?
No, just heard it hit the floor.
Uh-huh.
Find it?
I think so. Look, sure doesn't make much sense. Take a look at it.
Yeah.
What is it?
Streetcar token. The men from the crime lab arrived and photographed the store. Diagrams were made showing the position of the body, and the premises were checked thoroughly. The victims were taken to City Hall to check the mug book. They were unable to make an identification. A canvass was started in the immediate area in the hope that we might be able to turn up a witness to the shooting. One of the uniformed officers talked to a newsboy who had seen a man run from the liquor store. Frank and I went down to talk to him.
Yeah, I saw him. I heard this noise like a backfire, and then this fella came out of the store and started to run down the street.
You get a good look at him?
No, he went down that way, away from me.
You see if he got into a car?
No, he ran around the corner. I didn't think a lot about it till after the whole thing was over.
Could you describe him for us?
No, I just got to look at his back. Nothing about that'd stand out.
Uh-huh.
Might talk to that girl, though.
What girl?
Well, when the fella ran out of the store, he almost knocked her down, ran right by her.
You know who she is?
Not right out. Sure feel like I do.
What do you mean?
I see her every week.
Where's that?
Home every Saturday night.
What's that?
She's on television.
From the witness, we got the time of day of the television show. We contacted the network and obtained the information that the girl's name was Betty Martin. They went on to tell us that she was working in a nightclub in Beverly Hills. Frank and I drove out to see her. She was sitting at a table talking to some people, and we asked the waiter to tell her we'd like to see her.
Hello, you want to see me?
Yes, ma'am. Will you sit down, please?
Thank you.
Here, I'll get that chair for you.
What can I do for you?
We're police officers, Miss Martin. This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday. How do you do?
Hello.
We understand that you're in the area of 14th and Flower tonight. Is that right?
That's right. Why?
Well, there was a hold-up and shooting down there. It's possible that you might have seen the man who did it.
Well, I don't think so. My manager and I went down there to listen to a group that's playing, but as far as I know, I didn't see anybody else. Oh, excuse me. I'll be right back. If you wait until I'm finished, I'll tell you what I can.
Well, it's rather important, Miss Martin. We'll wait.
Well, so's my job. I'll do one song and then I'll be back.
Right. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Sure, a pretty song.
Well, thank you very much. It's a new song written by a fellow named Arthur Hamilton.
Yes, very nice.
Now, what's this about a man I'm supposed to have seen?
Well, we told you there was a shooting at 14th and Flower.
Uh-huh.
Well, one of the people in the neighborhood recognized you, and he tells us that the suspect ran right by you. Is that right?
Yeah, I remember. Just a minute. Oh, now I remember. Yeah, he ran out of the store, almost knocked me down, didn't even stop to say anything.
Did you get a good look at him?
Well, he ran into me.
Can you tell us anything about him?
Well, I'm afraid not. I didn't pay any attention. It's something that happens and you don't think about it, you know.
Yes, ma'am. Would you know the man if you saw him again?
I don't think so. The whole thing happened so fast.
There's nothing about him that you remember.
No, unless it was his eyes.
Ma'am?
Well, his eyes, like he was looking right through you.
11:46 p.m. Frank and I went back downtown. The search for the killer had spread throughout the city. Additional units from all divisions were called in to help. From the description given us by the victims and witnesses, it appeared more than likely that the suspect was a narcotics user. If this was true, it was more than possible that he'd cut down anybody who got in his way. Frank and I contacted the office and talked to Captain Donahoe. He'd taken over the search for the gunman. Because it was impossible to cover all of the liquor stores in the area, it was decided to ask the owners to close. Frank and I were assigned to places along Vermont Avenue. The first 6 stores we contacted cooperated. By the time we got to the 7th, the rain had stopped. We parked the car in front of the place and walked in. At first, there was no one in sight, but then in the storeroom, we found the owner. He was lying on the floor, his head buried in his arms.
You go away. Leave me alone.
You all right?
I am now. I want to stay that way. Now, you get out of here.
Look, we're police officers. What's the matter with you?
Now, don't try that with me. I know who you are. You got all the money. There's no more to take.
Come on, this is no joke, fella.
Now, listen. I remember what you said. I ain't going to get up from here for another 2 minutes. I can see my watch. Still got 2 minutes.
Come on, get your head up from the floor. You can see this card.
Huh?
It's an identification card. Here, see it?
Are you sure?
Well, you're looking at it.
Now, look, if this is a joke, I'm not going to like it.
Come on. Don't worry about it. Now, get up. Come on.
Well, it's about time you got here. It's a terrible thing when a man's robbing his own store and nobody's going to take the time to protect him.
You were held up tonight?
Yes, sir, not more than 3 minutes ago. Guy left. He told me to stay where I was for 5 minutes.
What did he look like?
Huh?
The man who held you up, can you describe him for us?
Yeah, young kid, just out of his teens, roaming around the streets, threatening citizens. You cops ought to do something about it.
What did he look like?
Well, he was dark, black hair, black eyes, wildest looking eyes you ever saw. One look at him, and you knew he meant what he said. Stay put, and I did.
I'll call him.
All right.
What's he going to do?
Put out a broadcast.
For the hold-up man?
That's it.
I don't want to tell you your business, but it sure seems like a waste of time.
What's that?
Well, if he hears it, he ain't going to give himself up.
The broadcast was put out to all units. From the description given by the victim, we were sure it was the suspect. All of the cars on the perimeter of the search area were drawn in, and the entire vicinity was surrounded. It took a little over 20 minutes to get the cars into position. Frank talked with Captain Donahoe at the corner of Vermont Avenue and Beverly Boulevard. After the meeting, he came back to the car.
Well, that does it.
Yeah?
Area's secure.
Were they trying to nail him down?
No. We figured to keep the area surrounded, wait till morning, and then move in. You think he's still here?
We'll know in 3 hours. The preliminary search of the neighborhood netted nothing, and the area was secured for the night. The rain kept up. All officers involved in the operation were kept on duty. At 6:20 a.m., the circle began to tighten. House by house, the space where the killer could be hiding was eliminated. All cars into and out of the area were stopped and searched. 7:15 a.m., the perimeter began to narrow. At 8:46 a.m., a call went out to all units.
All units on special detail in the vicinity of Vermont Avenue and Beverly Boulevard. Regarding the suspect wanted for murder, possible suspect believed to be in the vicinity of Vermont and Catalina Street. Attention, all units. Special detail. Regarding the suspect wanted for murder, possible suspect believed to be in the vicinity of Catalina Street and Vermont Avenue.
That's us.
Yeah.
Be a break if it's him.
Right.
All units on special detail in the vicinity of Vermont Avenue and Beverly Boulevard. Regarding the suspect wanted for murder, possible suspect believed to be in the vicinity of Vermont and Catalina Street. Attention, all units. Special detail. Regarding the suspect wanted for murder, possible suspect believed to be in the vicinity of Catalina
Sure doesn't
Street
make
and
sense.
Vermont Avenue.
Why do you kill a man for a streetcar token?
According to the report received by the complaint board, a woman in the vicinity had seen someone run through her backyard. When she shouted at the person, he continued running and disappeared into the alley. All cars in the area converged, and a complete search was started. As time went on, the possible hiding places narrowed, and finally the suspect was left with less than a block in which to conceal himself. Frank and I joined the officers on foot. After 20 minutes, we found ourselves in the backyard of one of the houses on the street.
Looks like a chicken house back there. Better check it, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
You got it covered?
Yeah. Joe.
Sure. All right, come on out. Keep your hands where we can see him.
Don't shoot now. Please don't shoot. I get...
Stand still. Right where you are.
I'm doing like you say. Don't shoot.
All right, get up against that wall. Come on. Put your hands up there. On the wall. 38 revolver.
I'd have given it to you. I don't want any trouble.
Always works out that way, doesn't it?
What do you mean?
You guys are big as long as you're holding the gun. As soon as somebody else has got it, you fall apart, don't you?
I don't want no lectures, cop. Just take me in. That's all you got to do. Take me in and make a bookie.
We'll do that.
We'll end up on a limb anyway. You got nothing to hold me on.
Is that so?
Yeah, I've been around cops a long time. I learned it the hard way. Don't tell them nothing. That's the way to make it. Don't tell them nothing.
Well, you missed one of the big points.
Huh?
This gun you were carrying.
Yeah?
Maybe that'll tell us. The suspect was taken to the city hall. He was mugged and fingerprinted. From his prints, we identified him as Max Hanford. He had a record listing several arrests for violation of the State Narcotic Act and 2 counts robbery. However, he'd never served time on any of the charges. We talked to him for an hour without result. 10:40 a.m.
Why don't you leave me alone? I got nothing for you guys.
Well, you keep believing that. We got people coming in who are going to lay it on you.
For what?
211 and murder.
You're out of your mind.
We got you made on all counts, any way you slice it.
You're on the needle, cop.
Is that so?
Yeah, you got one beef on me. Most you can take me for is stealing chickens. You sit down and try to think what a judge is going to say when you read that off in court.
All right, Hanford, you keep that smile on your face. You go right on believing that we can't press a charge that'll stick. Now, we got a half a dozen people on the way in here. They'll point you out in a crowd. And as soon as they do, we'll drop you in a cell and hold you ISO. Won't be long till that yen gets so big you'll be yelling for us to turn you loose.
You got it all figured, haven't you?
That's right down the line. You're a height. You're hooked, and you're hooked bad. Everything's working for us. You go through the cure, and you'll tell us what we want to know, and you'll be glad you got the chance to talk. We don't need your help. We're home free without you. You keep up the way you're acting, see how far it gets you.
You really figure you can box me in?
Without a door.
When'd you call the people?
What's that?
To point me out.
A little while ago.
Well, can you get them before they leave home?
Why?
No reason for them to make a trip. I'll give it to you.
You want a stenographer?
Might as well. I got nothing to lose. I'll give you the story. I'll get it.
Go ahead.
Lousy deal.
Is that right?
Yeah, I didn't want to kill that fella, you know.
Well, why'd you do it?
I was high. I just had a pop. I felt like I owned the world. It'd be pretty sore to think the guy was holding out on me. I guess you think that's a pretty bad reason.
That's right.
People don't understand. You get a bad habit working on you, you'd do anything to feed it.
Is that right?
Sure, you let me talk to anybody. Let me tell them what it means to have a supply shut off. I'll tell them what it's like. I don't care who it is. You put me in front of a jury, I'll tell them.
Yeah, well, you'll get the chance.
Tell them it wasn't my fault I got hooked on this stuff. That's why I did it. I'll tell them.
Well, while you're at it, you can tell them something else.
What?
Why you started taking narcotics.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On February 16th, trial was held in Department 97, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles.
Max Gifford Hanford was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree and received sentence as prescribed by law. Because the jury failed to return a recommendation for clemency, he received the maximum sentence and was put to death in the lethal gas chamber at the State Penitentiary, San Quentin, California.
You have just heard Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action, and starring Jack Webb, a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.
That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak For Hire. Oh, sure, you can spell it 50 different ways, but down on the waterfront in San Francisco, it all means the same thing. You pay and I'll do, and the customer's always right if he's got an open wallet. And I'll match it with an open mind. Unless he's after murder, then the price gets out of range. And down here, you're either high on your toes or flat on your back, because most of the time you get only one kind of pitch, fast and inside, and you don't try if you're foul because nobody cares. Even then, you can't complain. During the summer, the morgue's the coolest spot in town. Oh, I rent boats and wrap up small sins in $20 bills. The money's good when you get it, but there's no retirement plan, and you can't buy vaccination for trouble. I found that out last Wednesday night. I closed up shop about 8 o'clock, and I started walking home. The city was down on its hands and knees trying to crawl through one of those San Francisco hot spells that blast by every 5 years. From up on the hill, the Chinatown tenements lined up down below like sweaty little kids waiting for a shower. It was heat and headaches all the way. But when I opened my front door and stepped inside, who wanted to talk about the weather? She was standing in the dark smoking a cigarette, and the silhouette her figure cut against the window was something you'd never believe. Then she reached over and turned on a lamp. It was a fast, dizzy trip, but when I got around to her eyes, they were the kind that made you think of hard-working geysers. Deep and warm, and you knew you could count on some fast action when they came to a boil. The smile was familiar, and the lips were red and moist, like a souped-up rose waiting for a bee. She did lots of nice things with her mouth, and talking was one of them.
Patsy, welcome home. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Georgie. What's on your mind?
Patsy, can't you ever take your time?
It's not mine, it's borrowed. Anything special in mind?
Easy business. Got a drink?
How easy?
Just a boat ride. You can't get hurt.
That's what they told the Spanish Armada.
Getting soft, Patsy?
No, not in the head. Now, look, if it's work, let's talk. Otherwise, let's just be cute, huh?
All right, Patsy. The last time you saw me was a year ago. As far as you know, I'm not in town. Fine?
You tell me. Go on.
Tomorrow night, a freighter's due in here from Shanghai. The SS Calcutta. I want to be on the welcoming committee.
Who says you can't?
Nobody yet. But the ship's going to anchor in the stream, so I need a boat, and I need you.
I'm not the social type. I don't think I'll go.
Believe me, Patsy, it's an easy trip.
So's falling downstairs. Come on, let's deal or drink.
All right, Patsy. My stepmother's going to meet the Calcutta, too.
Who's she?
Mrs. Sheila Lampson.
She likes parties?
She likes a package she's going to get from somebody aboard the Calcutta.
What's in it?
That's her business. I just want to make sure she gets that package ashore all right.
You in on it?
She doesn't even know I'm in town.
Who picks up the check?
Here. Will $40 cover it?
It's too much for an easy job and not enough for a hard one. Where do I find you if I need bail?
Here's a phone number. You can call me there tomorrow. And Patsy, thanks. I don't forget easy.
Why the rush?
Because you scare me, Patsy. You really scare me. You remember the party, Patsy?
Yeah. But memories are like everything else. They'll wear out.
Then let's make some new ones, Patsy.
At the door and watched her move down the hall toward the stairs. The white dress she had on was plain enough, but it didn't have a mind of its own. It just did what it was told and tried to behave, but Georgian nature wouldn't let it. There was only one catch in seeing Georgie. She always left too soon, like a small bottle of fine whiskey. Well, it must have been a good 5 minutes after she left when I heard the buzzer. I was looking for the white dress when I opened the door, but I was looking the wrong way. Something with an echo in it came down hard on the side of my head. I went down like mercury in a quick freeze. The trip wasn't nice, but it was long. Halfway there, I came up for breath, and I found the deck of one of my own boats under me. The Bay Bridge lights were still around, and that made it kind of cozy. When my eyes got in focus, the smooth-looking bundle laid out next to me shaped up like Georgie Lampson. She wasn't looking her best. I had just enough time to remember a pair of women's shoes standing next to my face, and then I must have moved, and they punched my ticket for a return trip. The next time I opened my eyes, I was looking up at the lights on Pier 19. Oh, the shoes were still there, but this time they were black, and the feet inside squashed out wide and flat like tired beefsteak. That meant only one thing: Hellman from Homicide.
You can stop playing mouse, Novak. Get up. The party's over.
Yeah, Hellman. I thought they'd never go home.
Your boyfriend here isn't talking.
He's bashful?
Yeah, Novak. He's real shy. He's dead. Who is he?
That's what you get paid for. What about the girl that was here?
County Hospital. You better pray she makes it, Novak.
Because you like blondes, Hellman?
Because nobody beats 2 murder raps, Novak.
Oh, you talk funny.
So does this hunk of lead pipe. Your prints are all over it.
What'd that make me, a plumber?
Better than that, Novak. The pipe fits the dent in that guy's skull like it grew there.
Well, maybe he's the plumber.
You're smart, Novak. Now, come on. Who's the guy and who is the dame?
She's Georgie Lampson. The guy I don't know.
Will, Novak. We'll take care of that.
Oh, you try hard, don't you, Hellman? You move your lips when you read, you use your fingers when you count, but you never get the right answer.
Don't tempt me, Novak. I'm not my cherry best in the morning.
You don't have a best, Hellman. You tried thinking once, but it gave you a headache. Now when you get in a squeeze, you have to pound your way out with your fist.
I warned you, Novak. Now talk nice and save teeth.
Yeah. I'll talk when that blonde tells her story.
If she makes the grade, how does she figure?
She met me in my apartment last night on business. 5 minutes after she left, the doorbell rang. When I answered it, somebody sapped me. Now you take it from there.
Yeah, I will. Right to the DA.
Go ahead, Hellman, but don't look hurt when the case blows up in your face.
You giving odds?
That's all I'm giving, Hellman. You figure it. I took the gal and this girl I don't even know for a ride at 3 a.m. We had a party and I killed a guy. But the gal I only messed up good because I like the way she talks.
You sound scared, Novak.
Well, I'm not, Hellman, but you are because it doesn't add. Why did I beat my skull with that same hunk of pipe, and how did I drive back here to meet you?
Keep your mouth open, smart boy. They got a little green room up at San Quentin. Gets awful stuffy when they close the door.
Well, after I left Hellman, I figured I'd had a bumper crop of trouble for one day. The sun was just beginning to stagger up over the Berkeley Hills when I caught a cab uptown. On the way, I stopped off for coffee and a 6 a.m. Chronicle at one of those little Greek joints off Geary Street. The windows were blind with grease and the light was bad, but the reading was money from home. The story made me stop counting the lumps on my head. Professor Burton Lampson. He'd gotten himself murdered in a Shanghai hotel room a month ago, and they were sending his body back on the SS Calcutta. It was due to anchor in the bay that night, like Georgie said, but the shipping page didn't agree. The Calcutta was listed inside the gate at 7:30 the night before. How did that check out? And what about that package that had everybody worried? Well, when I got back to my apartment, I called the hospital to check on Georgie. Well, they were still giving odds, the long, thin kind. A little later, I was in the middle of a cold shower, adding up rows of zeros and getting different answers every round when the phone rang. It was Hellman, and he was selling nothing but smiles.
You feeling any better, Novak?
Oh, don't tell me you're worried.
We just identified the dead guy. His name's Warren Haynes, local socialite. You know him?
Yeah, I'm an old friend of the family.
The guy's from one of the old families in town, the important kind.
His blood wasn't blue.
No, but we are. We're feeling the pressure already, so I'm calling you in today for a little talk.
That's a great job, Hellman. You keep right on smacking your fat lips because you're going to get more answers than questions.
That's funny, Novak. I didn't think you knew the difference.
When I hung up the phone, I was seeing more red than the bleachers at a bullfight. I probably would have walked right by him if he didn't open his mouth. Even then, it wasn't much more than a loud squeak. He was a skinny guy, standing against the door with a half-smile twisting his mouth and a bright, wild look in his eyes.
You seem disturbed, Mr. Novak.
Where's your invitation, mister?
This should prove sufficient, Mr. Novak.
All right, so you own a gun. What happens now?
Now, Mr. Novak, I use the gun unless you hand over the package.
Sorry, mister, you're in the wrong laundry.
Mr. Novak, I've been crossed once today. I don't intend it shall happen twice. The package?
Now, look, you, I'm going to spell it again. I don't know what you're talking about. Now, take that cannon you're pointing and...
I think you realize I'm about to use this gun, Mr. Novak, for the last time.
All right. We'll find it right over there. Now here, right next to... Now, come on, give me that gun before somebody gets hurt. He stood there for a minute, shaking his head as if he wanted to go back and wipe 5 minutes from his life. All of a sudden, he jerked around in his tracks and he stumbled for the door like a timid drunk when you tell him he's had enough. Then he folded up hard against the wall on his knees. But it was a little too late for prayers. I stood there for a minute trying to think of a good lawyer who owed me money, but all I could see was a courtroom and a picture of Hellman smiling as he listened to the verdict. Well, accident or not, if Hellman dropped in with a body on the floor, he'd bury me so deep in San Quentin he'd be bringing me air in paper bags. When a knot in my stomach untied, I dragged the little guy away from the door and I rolled him on his back. His eyes were still asking for the package, but the rest of them didn't care. Outside of a few bucks, his wallet was empty, not even a laundry tag. Well, I got dressed and I pulled the blinds and locked the place up. And then I went out to look for the only honest guy I know, an ex-doctor by the name of Jocko Madigan. He was a fine surgeon till something made him decide life was temporary at best. Now he's got a permanent post on a bar stool looking for answers at the bottom of whiskey bottles. Well, it's hard on the liver that way, but you're never short on dreams. I finally found him with a bourbon halo in a musty little Italian joint over in North Beach. It was a long stretch from Easter Monday, but he was still celebrating Irish independence. He looked like he was on the wrong side because his nose was a bright orange.
Patsy, my boy, you're just in time. These simple but honest Sicilians have agreed to embark with me on a crusade. And as honorary past president of the Sons of St. Patrick, the Powell Street chapter, I invite you to join us.
Hold on, Jocko. Sober up. I got to talk to you.
To fittingly observe the occasion of old Ayre's joyful victory, we're first fortifying ourselves with grappa and bushmills. Then we sally forth to chase all the snakes out of Long Beach and the cockroaches out of Chinatown. How does that strike you, Patsy? And why aren't you smiling? 'Tis a glorious day.
Because I'm in a jam and I want to talk, Jocko. Now cut it.
Oh, Patsy, you remind me of that De Valera fellow. You're sitting on the curb and pouting just because they won't let you march in front of the band in the victory parade. You're sour, Patsy. Admit it.
Jocko, will you snap out of it? I'm in big trouble.
You're always in trouble, Patsy. You're a child of adversity, a son of scorn. The fates spit in your eye and you try to retaliate, but the wind's always blowing in the wrong direction. You're a lost leaf in the mortal storm, Patsy. You're a pebble shaking a tiny fist at the mountain. You would like to fight for some strange, fantastic cause, wouldn't you, Patsy? But you can't find anybody your size. Men are too small and the gods are too big. Patsy, you're lost.
Are you all through?
Yeah. What kind of trouble?
Oh, it's a pair of bum murder raps, Jocko. Somebody sapped me in my apartment last night and I woke up this morning with a dead guy.
That sounds interesting. What was it you were drinking?
Hellman's out to pin this on me.
Oh, a dubious honor. You mentioned 2 murders.
A guy came in my apartment this morning waving a gun and asking for a package that I never heard of. We started wrestling for the gun.
Mildly exciting. Who got it?
He did, right in the chest.
Patsy, you have absolutely no excuse for losing your temper. Why, you're not even Irish. Still, you're always getting hot-headed at the wrong time.
It was an accident, Jocko. I didn't even know the guy. I'm sorry, but I can't cry.
Sure, that's what the British general said after he hung Robert Emmett at the dock. But he didn't straighten out the Marcel in his neck. What are you doing out of jail?
Well, you knock it off, Jocko. Now, look, did you ever hear of a Mrs. Sheila Lampson?
Certainly, and I'm very offended with her. In the past year, she set up drinks for every eligible and non-eligible in San Francisco except me.
That sounds good. What else?
Not much, but I often wonder what that poor old professor she married does with his evenings.
He stopped worrying, Jocko. He's dead. Now, look, will you hop down to the Chronicle morgue and check with Steve Nagel? Have him dig out all the old clips on the professor and Mrs. Lampson, will you? And while you're there, check on a guy by the name of Warren Haynes. You got that?
Yes, but what do I do for money?
$50 for car fare and nothing for booze.
Patsy, surely you're jesting.
Jocko, will you quit clowning and get going?
If you say so, Patsy, but you've broken up a beautiful party. My Sicilian friends have gone to sleep and I'm thirsty again. Let's have 4 or 5 for the road, shall we?
Later, Jocko.
Oh, all right, Patsy, but only for you. By the way, where can I find you?
I'm going to tag by the county hospital, and then I'm going to look up Sheila Lampson.
If I remember the story correctly, Patsy, you'd better reverse your schedule. Good night, lover.
When I left Jocko, I tagged by Mama Lupo's on Kearney Street, and I called the hospital again. Oh, Georgie was a little better. At least the undertakers had stopped bidding. Mama Lupo clouded up for a storm when I asked to borrow her new car for a couple of hours, but a few pats and a pinch, and she was all giggles and car keys. 10 minutes later, I was fighting traffic on Potrero Avenue. The south wind out there brought the slaughterhouses right into your front seat. I found the hospital out on the far edge, and it was a nice-looking pile of dirty red brick. The nurse in the ward didn't believe I was Georgie's brother until I asked her if she was busy Saturday night, and she saw the resemblance right away. I found Georgie behind a couple of screens at the end of the ward. For a dying woman, she looked pretty good. She smiled a little when she saw me, like she was saving up for a bigger try later on.
Patsy, I'm glad you made it.
Look, I'm going to keep it short, baby. Who was it last night?
Sorry, Patsy. Big deal.
You can't tell her, you won't.
Can't, Patsy. Later I will.
And that package, same deal?
Same.
Well, I got a deal too, Georgie, a murder rap. They want to hang it on me.
Who was it?
Warren Haynes, do you know him?
I remember him. Good corpse.
Now, look, you're slicing it awful thin for $40, Georgie.
Patsy, trust me.
No choice, baby. You're driving. Don't go through any red lights.
Oh, Patsy.
Telephone, Mr. Novak. I said it was urgent.
That's it, Georgie. I'll see you later. Yeah.
Having a good time, Novak?
You know any phone numbers besides mine, Hellman?
Not today, bright boy. You near a streetcar, or do I send a chauffeur?
What's your beef?
Our beef, Novak. We'd like it fine if you paid us a visit real soon.
Sorry, Hellman. Book's solid.
Command performance, Novak. I wouldn't disappoint.
What's the matter, Hellman? You want it in blood? I told you I don't know anything about last night. I never saw Haynes before.
You got me wrong, Novak. This one's about a knife. We just found it in your office down on the waterfront.
That's fine. Peel yourself an apple and keep busy.
You better come down, Novak. We found the knife in some guy's back.
Houdini couldn't get out of that one in 2 hours with both hands and a can of olive oil. It was like chasing cyanide with a bucket of brandy. Well, it tastes bright, but it's only a matter of time. Well, I headed for Sheila Lampson's place, and on the way I pulled up by a drugstore out in the Haight Street jungles and called the Chronicle morgue. They said Jocko had just left, so I called the nearest bar and asked if they had a customer with a bright orange nose. They did.
Jocko Madigan speaking.
Jocko, this is Novak. What'd you find out?
Ah, Patsy. Just enjoying a small refresher after some very excellent reading.
For instance?
Sheila Howard Lampson. She started seeing the professor back in 46. There was a scandal, the nasty kind, and the professor's first wife, Barbara, jumped off the bridge, the Bay Bridge.
Yeah, go on.
A month after she married the professor, Sheila was mentioned in every gossip column in town. So the professor took off on a scientific trip to China. A month ago, he was murdered in a Shanghai hotel, and a hatful of emeralds was stolen. The authorities figured that the murder was premature.
What do you mean?
Well, the professor had 3 major operations, and at the time of the murder, he had less than a week to go.
What about Haynes?
Haynes is one of those black sheep that wealthy families have, cut off without a penny. He's one of Sheila Lampson's escorts, and he's now on his way back from the Orient on the SS Calcutta. Anything else?
Jocko, I could kiss you.
Patsy, you stick to your line, and I'll stick to mine.
Well, the puzzle was still a sack full of holes and question marks, but at least Jocko's leads had a little juice in them. I found the Lampson house in the best part of the Seacliff district. It was one of those big nervous joints hanging by its shutters to the side of a steep drop that slid down sharp into the Pacific. All green trim and stucco the color of mortgages. The front doorbell was wearing out in my hand when the maid showed up, and then she was tongue-tied. She didn't know a thing except good money when it was offered. And then she told me I'd find Mrs. Lampson in the second-floor sitting room. She went away. I found the sitting room all right, but Mrs. Lampson wasn't there. So I followed on through till I came to a bedroom with a bright red ceiling and a lived-in feeling. Reminded you of something Henry VIII might order for a bridal suite. She was sitting next to the couch holding a martini and making noises like a leopard on a honeymoon.
Hello. Don't call me baby.
Yeah. You always wear handkerchiefs to parties?
Mm-hmm. Saves time. Dressing. You're nice. Have a drink?
I'll fix them.
Oh, you are nice. What's your name?
Novak. What's yours?
Billy.
Is that a name or a game?
You're just like Mike. He's my new boyfriend.
This is night off?
Oh, no. He just went downstairs for a minute. Hey, you mix a nice drink, Mr. Novak. Warm.
Yeah. You got a fever or something?
No. Must be the weather, Mr. Novak. You feel it?
You're a big spender, aren't you? What do I do when Mike walks in? Smile?
Oh, Mike's broad-minded.
How about Sheila?
You fix a good drink, Mr. Novak. You ask a lot of questions, too.
Yeah, well, that's because I like answers. Now, what about Sheila?
Hey, you're going to get rough. I'll call Mike.
All right.
I'm Sheila's sister, and it's much better when you're nice to me.
All right, then let's start being nice, huh?
Mr. Novak, what was that for?
I'm a big spender, too. Here, have another drink.
I think maybe I'll have another you, Mr. Novak. Is that Mike coming upstairs?
Could be, baby. Now, come on, where's Sheila?
Oh, Sheila, who cares? She's downtown anyway. She won't know. Hey, where are you going?
Sorry, baby, I got a date.
I'm not busy. Will I do?
Don't let him leave, Mike.
He does. He's going to walk through me.
I'm sorry, baby. He's not my type. Mike was a tall, wide package, so I gave him a bargain offer. He didn't fold after two, but he had a kind of hurt look in his eye when I hit him the third time, like I didn't know he could take a hint. When he wound up and hit the floor, every window in the house rattled, and I figured the Berkeley seismograph got a cheap thrill. I made it as far as the front door when I heard a car pull up in the driveway. When I got to the window, a dame and a guy were getting out of a new Nash and heading for the door. The guy was a middle-class gunsel, but if the gal was Sheila Lampson, she made nice opposition. Well, I couldn't wait around to see. I finally managed to make my apartment without having one of Hellman's men pick me up, and when I got in, Jocko was just pouring himself another glass of Green Dreams and posing in the mirror like a man of distinction. The stiff was still there on the floor next to a glass of ice water.
Patsy, I don't approve of your choice of party guests.
The guy's dead, Jocko.
Oh. Well, in that case, I'll overlook it. This is the friend you were telling me about? When are you due at the gas chamber, Patsy?
Any phone calls?
Oh, now that you mention it, yes.
Hellman?
Regularly on the quarter hour. Not very coherent, but I got the idea he's looking for you. Also a call from the hospital. They wanted to know the whereabouts of a Miss Georgie Lampson.
What do you mean?
Seems she disappeared a few hours ago from one of their wards.
Oh.
Patsy, you look worried. Perhaps a sampling of this delicate dollar ambrosia would help. Try it.
No, thanks.
Suit yourself, Patsy. Myself, I'm an old subscriber to the Socrates plan of self-destruction. If you want it done right, do it yourself. By the way, have you noticed our friend's hands lately?
Huh?
It looks like he's entertaining a scrap of paper in his right hand.
Yeah, I see it. Oh, let me see here.
He seems kind of stingy with it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I got it.
Uh-huh. Oh, an old envelope. Not even a coded letter to puzzle over.
I'll settle for the address, Jocko. Take a look.
Captain Edward Small, SS Calcutta, Paramount Line, Shanghai. Well, that's nice. Shall we have another drink?
Later, Jocko. Right now we haven't got the time.
If that's who I think it is, Patsy, you're going to have lots of time. I'll just whip up a short one.
Novak talking.
Listen, smart boy, and listen hard. This is for the last time. You check in here in 10 minutes, or I'll send out an all points. Dead or alive, Novak.
All right, Hellman. There's a dead guy here in my apartment right now. His name's Captain Edward Small, off the Calcutta.
I don't need any more bodies, Novak. I can hang you twice with what I got.
All right, Copper. But if you want your picture in the paper tomorrow, you can meet me out in Seacliff in 15 minutes. 48 Camino Drive. When I hung up the phone, most of the puzzle straightened out like wet wash in a dry wind. Well, there's one thing you can count on. When you bet on miracles, you buy a ticket straight through. I finally pulled up at the Lampson place, and I started looking around for Hellman. The joint looked about as crowded as a Kremlin breakfast for Senator Taft. I was taking a fast check, trying to figure how far they could have gone, when Hellman fought his way through the box hedge for the driveway. We circled down behind the garage and around in back of the house. We just made it in time for the curtain scene. Sheila Lampson was backing down slow toward the seawall, waving her arms in the air and begging every inch of the way. And Georgie stumbled after her like the avenging angel, and she had a gun. She had a coat tossed over her hospital gown, and the look in her eyes told the whole story. Tears and hate and lots of bullets.
Novak, you've got to stop her. She's crazy. She's crazy. She wanted to kill me.
What's so crazy about that?
You're sweet, Patsy, but you weren't invited. Don't get too close to the animals.
It's your gun, Georgie. Don't let it hang you. This is Hellman from Homicide.
No good, Patsy. This one's for me. Isn't it, Sheila?
Georgie,
isn't it for me?
Please, Georgie, don't. Novak, stop her. Stop her before it's too late.
All right, girls, let's break it up.
Be good, Copper. You too, Patsy.
It's your neck. It won't look good stretched.
Please, Georgie.
Don't eat that, Sheila. Not yet. First, I want to tell you how clever you are. How sweet you looked at my mother's funeral. How you ruined my father. How to screech with other men, Sheila. That was magnificent.
Georgie, please. I didn't know, Georgie. I didn't know it. I swear I'll make it up to you. Please.
One other thing, Sheila. Listen to me, Sheila. Those emeralds you've got. The ones you sent Haynes to Shanghai for. The ones he killed my father for. They were glass, Sheila. 10-cent green glass. You hear, Sheila? Glass.
Please. Georgie, please.
Georgie, watch her. Sheila's got a gun.
Patsy.
Take it easy, baby. You got a long trip.
She's dead, isn't she, Patsy? She's dead.
She didn't die, baby. With that much lead, she sank.
It burns, Patsy. It burns.
It'll cool. The fog's starting to come in.
Remember the party, Patsy?
Yeah, I remember.
Then say it, Patsy. Please say it now. Say it.
Yeah, Georgie, I'd say it, but you're not listening. We found a letter in Georgie's coat pocket that told most of the story, and then Hellman grabbed Mike and Sheila's sister and sweated the rest out of them. Well, it wasn't a pretty story, but it moved. When Sheila spent the professor broke and he checked out over in China, Georgie decided to blow the whistle on her. She made up that phony yarn about the emeralds, and then she let Haynes murder her father and walk off with him. They were glass. To make it look good, Haynes played pallbearer and took the boat back with the body. But not before Georgie tipped the captain and the first mate about that sack of emeralds Haynes was supposed to have. So they went to work. They robbed Haynes and planted a fake for a fake. It was a real cat and mouse game. Georgie only made one mistake, but sometimes that's all it takes. She flew back here a few days before the Calcutta got in so that she could be around for the payoff. One of Sheila's pals must have spotted her and trailed her to my place. And then the sapping started. That was the same night the Calcutta got in and people started checking packages and pulling triggers. When Sheila found her package was a fake, she figured Haynes was being cute, so he got it first. And then she went out after that original fake. She tried to double up and hang Haynes' body on me and get rid of Georgie at the same time. But Georgie didn't die easy. I don't know how the captain got onto me, probably through Sheila. But her Gunsel friends took care of the first mate with a knife when he got anxious. Well, when the dust lifted and they counted cold noses, it was a real devil's game. Wherever he was, Georgie's old man must have been holding his sides and rolling in the aisles. Yeah, a real plum. And Sheila found out when you get close enough to the seed, the taste gets bitter. Well, Hellman asked only one question. How come a smart girl like Georgie bought something as stupid as revenge? I don't know. She was a lot better at a lot of other things.
Cast included Lois Andrews, Steve Brody, Herbert Litton, Jerry Hausner, Ivan Ditmars, Ray Erlenborn, and Hal Sawyer. This is a Larry Finley transcription, brought to you from Hollywood.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the forgery detail. For the past several months, a man posing as an actor has been passing worthless checks in your city. You've got a description of the suspect, but no lead to his whereabouts. Your job, get him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, January 10th. It was foggy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Forgery Division. My partner is Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Welch. My name's Friday. I was on my way back to the office from a cup of coffee. It was 4:12 p.m. when I got to Forgery. The squad
I told
drove.
her to report it herself. Told her it was her duty as a citizen. It is a duty, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Mrs. Neskett, this is my partner, Sergeant Friday.
Mrs. Neskett?
No, Sergeant.
Seems Mrs. Neskett's mother got stuck with a bum check, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
She's a landlady out on Western.
Well, not a landlady, exactly. Only rents a couple of rooms. More for company than anything. Dad left her plenty to get by on.
Yes, ma'am.
And we'd help her out if it was necessary. Dick and me. Dick's my husband. We help her out.
Mm-hmm.
So far, she's managed pretty well by herself. But if she pulls any more fool stunts like this... Tony has a $3 bill. See right there? No such account. Big as life. Stamped all over it.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand her. I just don't understand her at all.
Well, anybody can take a bad check, Mrs. Neskett, no matter how careful they are. Even with good identification, you can be fooled.
When they do, they report it, don't they?
Well, yes, ma'am, usually.
Look at the date. Way last December, over a month ago.
Yeah.
Over a month ago, and she hasn't done a thing about it. Didn't intend to either. Didn't even want me to know. Good thing I started early this year.
Early, ma'am?
On her income tax. How I found out about the check.
Oh.
I used to work in a tax office, so I always make out Mother's return. If I didn't do it, I don't know who could. Doesn't keep any records. Just stubs and a few bills. Well, someday they'll audit her and she'll find out.
Well, why didn't your mother report this check herself, you know?
You tell me. The man had an honest face. That's about all I can get out of her.
How'd she happen to take it?
It was supposed to be for his first month's rent.
Well, and she's not out any cash.
Sure she's out cash. $20. That's what she's out. He made the check for $70. A month's rent's only $50. Not a lot of money, but $20 is $20.
Yes, ma'am.
There's the principal, too.
Yeah.
An actor or something like that.
Ma'am?
The fellow gave it to her. Mother says she remembered his name from the movies. That's how she happened to take the check. I don't see why she'd trust an actor any more than she would somebody else.
Can I see that, please?
Mm-hmm.
Parker Allington. You ever hear of him, Joe?
Allington?
Uh-huh.
Well, I think it sounds familiar. It was in pictures when I was a kid, I believe.
Oh?
As I remember, I never cared much for him, though. If it's the same guy, the parts he played.
What do you mean?
Heavies. We ran the name Parker Allington through R&I, and we turned up one package listing a drunk arrest in 1935. We called the Screen Actors Guild to see if they could help locate him. They said they'd check, and they asked us to call back in an hour. 4:30 p.m. We left the office and drove out to the Western Avenue address Mrs. Neskett had given us. It was a 2-story Spanish stucco with a rooms for rent sign in the front window.
Somebody's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Miss Crimp?
Yes.
We're police officers. This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Police officer?
That's right, ma'am.
Anita.
Beg pardon?
My daughter, Anita. She sent you.
Yes, ma'am.
I told her not to. She never does anything I tell her. Never has.
Be all right if we come in?
Living room's a mess.
Don't worry about it, ma'am.
I was just putting away the ornaments from the tree. It was raining last week when I took it down, and I couldn't get out to the garage.
Yes, ma'am.
I won't press any charges.
Well, that's up to you.
Not against that poor man, I won't. And you can't force me to press charges.
No, ma'am.
Suppose you tell us about the check.
Isn't much to tell.
Your daughter says this man Allington gave it to you for rent.
Here, and to get that box out of the way so you'll have some place to sit.
I'll take care of it, ma'am. All right, I'll put it here.
Oh, yes, fine, thanks.
The check was for rent, is that right?
That's right.
When'd you take it?
Last month sometime. A week or so before Christmas. Well, the date's on it, isn't it?
December 9th.
Oh, that's what it says.
Have you ever seen Allington before? You ever met up with him?
Not in person. I may have seen him in pictures. He said he'd been in a lot of pictures. He seems familiar.
Well, now, ma'am, how'd he happen to come here to rent a room?
We saw the sign out in front of the window. He was living in a hotel downtown and was out this way visiting friends.
Did he mention the name of the hotel?
No, I don't think so.
What about the people he was visiting?
Well, what about them?
Well, did he tell you who they were?
He may have. I couldn't say for sure. Not now.
Now, you said he saw the sign.
In the window.
Yes, ma'am.
He came in and asked about the room, but was still for rent. I showed it to him. Upstairs in front. It was a real nice view.
He agreed to take it, did he?
Straight off. Said he used to live in a house something like this when he first came to California years ago when his wife was alive. Sort of reminded him of better times. That's how he put it.
And he gave you this check for the first month's rent?
Yes. I suppose Anita already told you. He made it out for $20 extra.
Why was that?
Well, he needed some cash money to hire a cab and move his things out here.
And you gave him the cash,
$20. I couldn't turn him down.
Why not?
Well, he just seemed honest, that's all. You can tell when a person's honest.
Yeah, sometimes.
And he was so anxious to get the room. He wanted to be all moved in time for the holidays. He wanted to be with people, I suppose. Oh, I felt sorry for him.
Did you ask for any identification?
Oh, no, there wasn't any reason. I recognized his name. Besides, he was going to be living here. If there wasn't anything wrong with his check, he'd be around to make it right.
And you never heard from him again?
Now, that doesn't mean he was trying to cheat me.
Well, it looks that way, ma'am.
Now, you folks are policemen. It's your job to suspect people of being crooked, and I don't blame you. It's your job.
Yes, ma'am.
$20?
Ma'am?
$20. Is that reason to throw a man like Mr. Allington in jail?
Well, it might be more than $20.
Well, that's all I gave him. Don't you believe me?
Yes, ma'am. But this man has passed quite a few checks.
I told you before. I won't press charges.
Yes, ma'am, you told us.
You don't understand. He didn't mean any harm.
You sure about that, Miss Crimp?
I'm a pretty good judge of human nature. I ought to be by now.
Yes, ma'am.
He's had lots of troubles, Mr. Allington.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of troubles. An actor like him probably pulled down a fancy salary and never had any worries. Now it's all gone. All his money, his wife, everything. If he'd never been rich, it wouldn't be so hard. You don't miss something you've never had.
Yeah.
If you're finished with me, I'd like to get on with my housework.
Mind if we use your phone?
Well, it's in the hall. I'll show you.
That's all right. I'll find it. Thank you.
You know, I didn't mean any offense, Mrs. Stern.
Oh, I suppose it's just your job. There's some cookies there, will you, dear?
I'd like to, but no.
They're homemade.
That's very good, aren't they?
Oh, go on.
Miss Breckhart, please. I'll wait if you don't mind. Thank you. Hello, Miss Breckhart. This is Sergeant Friday. I spoke to you a little while ago about Parker Allington. Yeah, that's right. You asked me to call back. Uh-huh. When was that? Oh, I see. Yes, it certainly does. You bet. Thank you very much. Right. Goodbye.
I remember this kind when I was a kid. My mom used to make it for Christmas.
Oh, well, maybe you'd like to take a few home with you. I've got plenty extra.
Oh, thanks anyway. They wouldn't let me inside the front door if I showed up with an armload of cookies. You ready, Joe?
Yeah. We'd like you to come with us, Miss Crimp.
Hmm? Well, what on earth for?
I want to see if you can identify the man who gave you that check.
You've already arrested him?
No, ma'am.
Well, I don't understand.
Well, we want to show you some mug shots, some photographs.
You want me to pick out Mr. Allington's pictures?
If you can.
Now, that's silly. You don't need me for that. The studios must have pictures of him, the newspapers. Why, that's downright silly.
It wasn't Allington, ma'am.
What?
The fellow who passed that check. What'd you find out? Allington died 3 years ago. Miss Breckhart at the Screen Actors Guild had checked with the Motion Picture Relief Home. They reported that Allington had lived there from 1949 until a heart attack caused his death several years later. We managed to convince Mrs. Crimp that she'd been taken by a professional swindler. Down at City Hall, we showed her mug shots of known bad check artists.
No, that's not him.
Oh, how about this one?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure not. No, that's not him either. He's older.
Well, the picture might be out of date.
Even so.
Well, that's it. Well,
Miss Crimp.
Yes?
Could you describe him for us?
Well, he was medium-sized, a little taller than you are, maybe.
Yeah.
How old would you say he was?
Oh, about in his 60s.
Gray hair?
That's right.
Any marks or scars?
No, not that I noticed.
How about his eyes?
Beg pardon?
What color were his eyes?
Well, I couldn't say. He was only there for a few minutes.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
He just seemed like an average man. For his age, gentleman, nice-looking, sort of distinguished.
Anything else about him?
No, except for his expression.
What do you mean?
It was kind of sad, unhappy, like he'd been through a lot. Yes, that won't help you, though.
Right.
Is that all?
Yes, ma'am. We'll take you home now.
Officer,
Yes, ma'am.
would you mind doing me a favor? I'd appreciate it.
What is it, Miss Crimp?
Don't tell my daughter about all this. I mean that it wasn't Mr. Allenton, that I let somebody trick me. She'd say it proves that I'm not able to take care of myself. I'd never hear the end of it. She treats me like a child, as it is. Now, you don't have to tell her, do you?
No, ma'am.
I'd sure appreciate it. Not that she doesn't have my best interests at heart, but nobody likes to be criticized all the time, especially by their own flesh and blood. You got any children, Sergeant?
No, ma'am.
Well, then you don't understand how I feel.
Yes, ma'am. Maybe I do.
You couldn't.
We drove Miss Crimp to her home, and then we checked out for the night. By the end of the week, 2 more landladies in the Western Avenue area had reported receiving bad checks from a man who claimed to be Parker Allington. Their stories tallied almost word for word with what Miss Crimp had told us. January 13th, 4:45 p.m. Frank and I checked back into the office after an interview with one of the victims.
You'd think that guy would wise up. Can't go on using a dead actor's name forever. Somebody's going to catch on.
Well, they haven't so far.
Well, sooner or later.
Thought you were on a diet.
Huh?
I thought you were on a diet.
Well, Joe, I got to keep up with strength.
Yeah.
Person needs a certain amount of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so high on calories. Read an article the other day. Teaspoonful of sugar, only 35 calories.
You lost any weight yet?
No, I'm holding my own.
You haven't lost any, though.
No, I don't want to get thin, Joe. Just sort of watching it, that's all.
Mm-hmm. Forgery, Friday. Yes, ma'am. This is the right extension. Could you speak up a little, please? I can't hear you. Now, just a minute. All right, go ahead, please. That's 2238? Yes, ma'am, I have it. Yes, ma'am, right away. Well, looks like you had it figured.
How come?
Somebody did catch on. Woman over near Los Feliz Boulevard.
Yeah?
Fellow's trying to give her a phony check.
Trying?
Yeah, he's still there. Frank and I drove out to a side street just south of Los Feliz Boulevard. It took us 20 minutes to get to the house. When we pulled up in front of the place, a lady was standing on the porch. She spotted our car and walked down the steps.
You the policeman?
Yes, ma'am. My name's Friday. This is Frank Smith.
Hello, how are you?
How you doing, ma'am?
You certainly didn't hurry.
Well, the traffic's kind of heavy this time of day.
Well, why didn't you use your siren?
We didn't want to scare him off.
Well, it's too late for that. He left about 10, 15 minutes ago. Oh, I'm Daisy Williker. Suppose you need that name for your record.
Yes, Mrs. Wilkers.
Not Mrs.
Oh.
You see which way he went?
He took a bus on the corner, probably in Hollywood by now.
Well, why'd he leave in such a rush, do you know?
Got suspicious. Might have heard my phone call. I had to talk so loud to make you understand me. I tried to keep him here as long as I could. I did my best. You can't ask more than that.
No, ma'am, thanks.
Well, you might as well come inside. Suppose you want a full report. That's the regular procedure, isn't it?
Are you familiar with police procedure, are you?
Watched on television, go to the movies. They got it all down pat.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, he came up to my door. Oh, must have been an hour ago by now. At least an hour.
Yes, ma'am.
Asked if I had a room for rent. I told him that's what the sign said. He just laughed, like he thought I'd been making a joke. Didn't know I was serious.
You show him the room?
Well, I tried to. He hardly even glanced at it. Then he said this was exactly what he'd been looking for. That's when I first began wondering about him.
What else did he say?
That he used to live in a house like this when he was a little boy back east, and that it reminded him of home. I figured he was softening me up to get me to lower the rent. Well, two can play at that game.
Yes, ma'am. What did you do?
Well, I upped it $10. Room's not worth a cent over 45. I asked 55.
Mm-hmm.
That way I'd be able to come down when he started playing on my sympathies. Wouldn't be out anything either.
Yeah.
Didn't bat an eye. When I told him it was 55. Said he'd take it, just like that. I knew right away something was wrong.
What happened then?
Well, we came downstairs into the living room here.
Go ahead, please.
Well, I said I wanted the first month's rent in advance. A lot of them try to pay you by the week. Before you can turn around, they're behind. Takes forever to get rid of them once they're moved in. I always insist on a full month.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, didn't bat an eye at that either. Brought out a checkbook.
Now, did he ask if he could make it for a little extra?
How'd you know?
Well, he's been around before.
25 extra. That's what he wanted. If he'd been around so long, why haven't you picked him up?
Well, we're trying, ma'am.
A few minutes earlier this afternoon, he'd solved the whole case.
Well, we're just as anxious to solve it as you are, Miss Wilkers.
Did he say why he needed the extra cash, ma'am?
Something about cab fare to get his things out here.
That's a lot of cab fare.
That's my own words, right to his face, exactly what I said. He said he'd have to clear up his hotel bill, too. Claimed they wouldn't take a check if he was moving.
And that's when you called up.
Of course not. Didn't call you until I was sure the check was no good. Not that I would have cashed it.
But there's no point in running to the police until you got the facts to back you up.
Mm-hmm. What made you so sure it was phony?
Well, the way he signed it.
What do you mean?
Parker Allington.
You knew he wasn't Allington.
Well, how could he be? Allington's dead. You didn't know he was dead?
Yes, ma'am, we knew it.
Well, then.
Miss Wilkers, are you connected with show business?
I follow it, that's all. Oh, I don't spend all my time reading movie magazines or anything like that. But I keep up with what's going on in the field. Do you know Allington was on television last night?
What's that?
The Late Show. Picture must have been at least 20 years old. He played the villain. Did a good job considering it was 20 years ago. Gives you a funny feeling, though, watching somebody who isn't here anymore.
Yes, ma'am. Now, as soon as you saw the name Allington on the check, you realized the guy was a phony and called us. Is that right?
Well, approximately.
Approximately.
Well, I told him I didn't know if I had the cash in the house. Said I'd have to go upstairs and make sure. I got an extension phone up there.
I see.
Then I telephoned you.
Uh-huh. One more thing, Miss Walters.
Well?
We've got a description, but it's rather vague.
Description?
Yes, that this guy's been passing himself off as Allington.
Oh.
All we know is his medium-sized, gray hair, and fairly well dressed.
Well, that's about right.
It's not very specific.
Can you add anything?
You mean you want to know who he is?
That's right.
Wilbur French.
Who's that?
Used to play bit parts in pictures.
Yeah.
I recognized him the minute he came through the door.
Miss Wilkers insisted her identification of the check forger was correct. We drove back to the office, checked the name Wilbur French through R&I. We had nothing on him. I telephoned Miss Breckhart at the SAG. She reported that French was a member in bad standing, 2 years delinquent in his dues. She had no address listed for him, but she was able to tell us that the last company he had worked for was a small TV outfit on Santa Monica Boulevard. She also told us that his file showed that he was last represented by a Paul Pilcher, an agent with offices on Sunset. January 14th, 9:35 a.m. I dropped Frank off at the Santa Monica TV company, and I drove on out to interview Pilcher.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
I'd like to see Mr. Pilcher.
Are you a client?
Police officer. My name's Friday.
Oh,
Mr. Pilcher in?
not yet.
You expecting him?
Well, I don't know when exactly. Sometimes he plays tennis on Saturday mornings before he comes to the office.
I see.
But he'll be in. He's closing a deal with TRC.
Oh.
That's a studio, a new company just getting started.
I see.
Would you like to look at the trades while you're waiting? Yesterday's. They don't come out on Saturday.
Well, thank you very much.
Mr. Pilcher in some kind of trouble?
Not as far as I know, no.
That's a relief. Mr. Pilcher's office. I'm sorry he hasn't come in yet. Any minute. Would you like me to have him call you? I see. Well, if you'll try again in about 15 minutes, you ought to be here. Bye. Morning, Mr. Pilcher.
Good morning.
This gentleman's waiting to see you. And Mr. Brogan's office called. They'll call back. Mr. Brogan's getting shaved.
Yeah, all right. I'm a police officer. My name's Friday.
Police?
That's right.
What can I do for you?
I'd like to talk to you for a minute.
All right, come on inside. Sit down.
Thank you.
Want a cigarette?
Yeah, thank you.
Here's the lighter.
Never mind, I have a match here.
Well?
You handle an actor named Wilbur French, Mr. Pilcher.
French?
That's right.
No, I don't handle him.
You used to be his agent, didn't you?
Oh, a couple of years ago, not anymore.
Oh.
What's he done?
Could you tell me where I could find him?
I wouldn't have any idea. Don't think he's had much work lately. At least I haven't heard about him working.
What was his last address?
Oh, you come to the wrong man.
Well, the last address that you have for him.
I don't keep addresses of actors after they leave me.
Well, why did he leave you?
Usual reason, no work. Pretty bad as an actor. Excuse me, huh? Yes? I'll put him on. Hello, George. How are you? Glad to hear it. And Mabel? Oh, that's a shame. Seems to be a lot of it going around this time of year. Well, what about Harvey? You make up your mind? Uh-huh. I sure don't agree with you there, George. He didn't look too old to test. So he's been in the business a few years. You can't hold that against him. What do you mean a new face? You'll bring out somebody from New York who's been on television 100 times. There won't be anything new about his face. Look, I'm not trying to tell you your business. I'm just trying to set a good actor in the right part. I'll be through soon, Mr. Friday.
Yeah.
That's more like it, George. Now, how many weeks' work? No, George, I read the script. Davis can't shoot that many scenes in 2 weeks. $1,200 a week, 4-week guarantee. Fletcher paid him $1,200 last fall. Go ahead and check. Look, George, if I was a Beverly Hills agent, you know what Harvey cost you? Well, I'm not going to argue with about it. You call Fletcher. He'll tell you what he paid Harvey. I'll be here till noon if you want to make a deal. Bye. Sorry to be so long.
Sure. Any suggestions on how I might get in touch with French?
Screen Actors Guild.
Well, they sent me here.
Oh. Well, what's he done?
We'd rather talk to him.
Well, the last time I saw him, he touched me for $10.
Where was that?
I bumped into him on the street. Is it serious?
It's just a routine investigation. Thanks very much, Mr. Pilcher.
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir?
I suppose I could turn him up. Be a dirty trick, though.
I don't know why.
Maybe it's my fault that he's in trouble. I didn't get him enough work. Now I hand him over to you. Makes me a heel, doesn't it?
Well, you might be doing him a favor.
Well, he won't think so.
You said you didn't know where he lived.
Well, I don't.
Well, how will you find out?
Spread the word around that I got a job for him. He'll hear about it.
I see.
He'll turn up.
All right, sir.
Leave your number. When I hear from French, I'll get in touch with you.
Thank you.
I still feel like a heel.
Well, you shouldn't. You called the turn on him.
Hmm?
He's a bad actor. I left Pilcher's office and picked up Frank. The TV company had given him a still photo from the last production in which French had appeared. 2 of the check victims readily identified the man in the picture. The 3rd victim was also certain it was the same person who had posed as Allington. January 16th, 3:32 p.m. Paul Pilcher telephoned the office. He told us French was living at a hotel in Hollywood on Selma Avenue. When we got there, the desk clerk said French was in his room, 17B.
This is it.
Yeah.
Who is it?
I'd like to talk to you, French.
Just a minute. Yeah?
We're police officers.
Like to ask you some questions.
Downtown.
What is this, a gag?
No, it's no gag.
Well, anybody can get hold of a badge. Who sent you? Mike? Sammy?
Come on, let's go, French.
Knock it off. I've been in too many pictures. I can tell actors from cops.
You ever hear of Parker Allington?
Yeah, I've heard of him. Worked with him in pictures. Used to be friends.
I'd give you the right to sign his name.
On bad checks?
Now, look, boys, I know why they sent you. I told Mike I got a call this morning about a job. It'd be just like him to pick a time like this. Some practical joker, isn't it?
No, it won't work, French.
What?
Come on, you know who we are and why we're here. Let's go.
It's one of Mike's gags.
Yeah, well, 3 landladies say different.
Oh.
You want to get your coat?
There was only a few bucks.
It was enough.
How'd you tumble?
One of the landladies knew Allington was dead.
I never figured he was that famous.
She knew you, too.
Me?
That's right.
Couldn't have known I was living here. Who told you?
Come on, let's go.
Pilcher. That's why I wanted to get in touch with me. I should have figured it wasn't about a job. Pilcher, wasn't it?
Come on.
Some agent. Couldn't land a job if your life depended on it. 5 years. Over 5 years I was signed with him. Never had a decent booking. Nothing that lasted. A couple of days here and there. Nothing that lasted.
Oh, don't you worry about it.
Huh?
This one will.
Wilbur Carl Flicker, also known as Wilbur French, was found guilty on 3 felony warrants charging forgery. He was sentenced to the state prison as prescribed by Section 470 of the California Penal Code for a period of 1 to 14 years.
Dragnet is a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.
My name's Jeff Regan. I get 10 a day in expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
With Jack Webb as Jeff Regan Investigator, stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of The Man with the Key.
block above Wilton on Hollywood Boulevard, there's a street they call Taft. It isn't very long. About 48 palm trees and a couple of bad sewers. It figures that the guy who laid it was nearsighted. He didn't see the hill 3 blocks away. Got kind of a tired look, like an old lady who's been moving furniture. There's a dirty gray apartment house on the right-hand side of the street. That's my place. 308. A low ceiling and a leaky faucet. A telephone that rings at the wrong time. It was last Monday night, about 11 o'clock. I was in bed listening to the party next door when it rang. It was the Lion.
Regan, get your clothes on.
That the way you sleep?
You're going to be busy. We got a new client.
Well, tell me all about it in the morning.
Special messenger came to my place 15 minutes ago with a C note.
Any good?
It was from somebody named Dora King.
Well, who's that?
That's what you're going to find out.
I can see better in the daytime.
She's waiting for you right now.
Oh, yeah.
At a place on La Brea called the Southerner.
Should I take my banjo?
Don't be funny. She wants to talk to you, so get over there.
Well, what does she want to talk about?
How would I know?
Well, don't you ever check into things?
That's what I pay you for.
All right, where's last week's salary?
You'll get it.
When?
As soon as I find out if your expenses will legit. Now get busy.
That all?
No, call me right after you've seen her.
Why?
I want to know what's what.
You mean you want to know if she can afford more than a C note?
You're getting out of line.
That's what they told Gypsy Rose Lee. Well, I got over there about 11:30. Turned out to be a small place, long on the shadows and short on the whiskey. There was a bald-headed guy playing a piano in one corner. I guess he'd been inside for a long time, because he'd never been out for a music lesson. The bartender was the only other guy in the joint. His name couldn't have been Dora King. So I went to work on a straight shot and waited. 2 drinks later, a girl in a black dress walked in. She took in the piano player and the bartender and me. I won. She started toward me with a slow, easy kind of a walk, like a panther looking for breakfast. When she oozed onto the stool beside me, the bartender got damp all over. The air conditioning wasn't doing him any good.
What'll it be, miss?
Make it the same as his.
Okay, bourbon and water.
Got a match?
Yeah?
Got a cigarette?
Mm-hmm.
Got a name?
Maybe.
I'll bet it's Regan.
All right, you got that much.
My name's Dora King. I'm sorry I'm late.
You ever on time when you meet a guy?
No.
Your money, you can spend it any way you want.
You always this nice to customers?
I don't get paid to be nice.
What do you get paid for?
Have you got a story?
I haven't had my drink yet.
Hey, you.
Coming up. I'm jet propelled. Here you are, miss. Hey, hot night, ain't it?
You waiting for the weather to change?
It ain't gonna change in here, brother.
What's your first name?
Jeff.
I don't like it.
Neither do I.
I'm going to call you Regan.
All right, let's start calling.
Have you got a license?
Covers up a hole in my wall.
Have you got something that says you're what you say you are?
All right. Here.
The Lion's Eye. 6 feet, 170. Brown eyes. You fit?
Yeah, I got a mole on my left shoulder.
Let me feel. You pass.
Okay, you won the toss. Let's kick off.
Well, this isn't where we play. We'll go in my car.
Where?
You'll find out when you get there.
Maybe I won't like the field.
You trust me, don't you?
No.
Good.
Fill her up again?
We're just leaving.
Floor show starts in a couple of minutes.
That piano player going to be in it?
Yeah, he's my brother. He's going to play something he wrote himself.
Any good?
Stinks. Maybe you better go.
Well, the bartender was pouring himself 4 fingers of rye and about a fingernail of water when we walked out of there. We climbed into a big Nash convertible, parked in front of the place, and headed for Santa Monica Boulevard. Then we turned east, past Western, down to Vermont, and south to Marathon. All at once, we were climbing a hill on a dark street. That gave us a view of the city. 20 years ago, a real estate broker might have had something, but now it was just an old neighborhood with a sad look, like a toe dancer with a short leg. Nobody said anything.
and I was beginning to have a feeling that maybe she'd forgot her compass when she slowed the car down. She pointed to a 2-story house in the middle of the block, and I nodded. Then she shoved the car in second and spun around the corner and came to a stop. I got out and walked around to let her out. She didn't move.
End of the line.
Short fare.
Time for you to go to work.
What kind of work?
The white place back there, 3936. You saw it?
It came through.
It's a boarding house.
I already got a room.
On the second floor, number 10. Knocked twice.
Prohibition's dead, lady.
There's a man there. His name's Bender. Ben Bender.
That'll wake him up.
He's expecting you.
You're quitting?
My job's finished. You're the new help.
Well, what do I do?
He'll tell you.
That all?
One thing more. Come here.
Yeah. Part of my fee?
That's extra.
I don't generally get tipped.
Just for luck.
You act like I'm going to need lots of it.
You are.
When do I see you again?
You don't. Goodbye, gorgeous.
I stood there and watched her drive away, and then I noticed it. Somebody in a black coupe coasted around the corner, kicked into high gear at the bottom of the hill. I kept watching, but whoever it was hadn't read the traffic laws lately. He didn't use his lights for 2 blocks. Oh, it registered. He was on a tail job, and Dora was nice to tail. .3936 Marathon. Inside, it smelled like stale beer and rotting wood. Room number 10 was at the top of the stairs. The door was already open. A thin guy with a hungry look was sitting on the edge of the bed. He was all bones. He didn't get up when I came in. He just kind of looked at me, and his eyes were full of water. All of a sudden, he pulled a bandana out of his pocket and began coughing. You're sitting in a draft.
All my life. You Regan?
A girl with warm lips said I'd find you here.
Thanks for coming. Sit down. Hey, just got back from a trip.
Up north?
Yeah.
Sanitarium?
State said I needed a cure.
Did it take?
What do you think?
You're still coughing.
The doctor said I could go. Even give me a going-away present. $10 and a suit of clothes. It's a bum rap.
That's what they all say.
Who I am?
Ben Bender.
Big Ben Bender. Does that mean anything to you, Pilgrim?
Must have been before my time.
Yeah? How old do you think I am?
I'm out of practice.
I look 60. But I'm 45. That's what 7 years in the sanitarium will do.
You ought to get a specialist.
Already got one.
What's his name?
You.
No, I'm only an intern.
You'll do.
All right, what do you want?
When the guy goes up there, he makes a lot of friends. And a lot of enemies. Sometimes you can't tell one from the other.
Does it make any difference?
Big Ben don't trust nobody.
No, what about that girl?
Dora? Forget her. Her job's done.
That's what she said.
See this key?
Yeah?
I wear it around my neck. I worn it for 7 years. You'll wear it for the next 7 hours.
Why?
Them friends and enemies I was telling you about.
What does the key fit?
My safety deposit box at the American Security Bank. You meet me there. Tomorrow, the 10.
What if I oversleep?
Stay up all night. I'll pay for the no-dose. Just be there.
After that?
Then your job's finished. It's off this door you ever made.
Look, now, you kept this key 7 years. Why can't you keep it for 7 more hours?
My business.
What's in the box?
My business.
Okay. Any of those friends or enemies drive a black coupe, white sidewalls?
I don't know. Why?
My business. I left him sitting there. He looked as happy as a sword swallower with the hiccups. Well, I put the key in my coat pocket, but it felt hot. like a dynamite stick with a short fuse. If Big Ben had been holding it for so long, somebody else might want it. Maybe somebody who drove that black coupe. Well, I went out the back entrance, walked down an alley, and doubled over 5 blocks to Vermont. I stopped a cab, and I had him take me over to the Lyons place. It was 2:30 in the morning when he opened the front door. He was wrapped in a bathrobe big enough to keep all the silkworms working overtime.
What do you want, Regan?
Information.
You been drinking?
I've been working.
What kind of work?
Oh, I got a key.
That all?
That's what they say.
Who's they?
A con named Bender.
Ben Bender?
That's right.
I thought he was doing a long run up in Quentin.
Well, he's out now.
Where does Dora King fit?
Taxi service. She took me to Bender. He gave me the key.
Let me see it.
All right, here.
Safety deposit box.
That's right. Nursemaid to a hunk of metal until tomorrow at 10.
What then?
Well, I meet him at the American Security Bank and turn it over to him.
Well, do it.
Now, look, Big Shot, this key's hot.
What makes it hot?
Whatever's in that box.
What's that?
How should I know?
Find out. You got the key.
You got the client.
Now, just a minute.
Somebody waves a greenback at you and you think it's a rainbow.
That's enough.
Oh, stop it, will you? It's another bum client and you know it.
Let me worry about that.
If Ben held that key for 7 years and won't hold it now, he's scared.
What's he gonna be scared of?
Somebody else who wants in on the
So
play.
what?
I'm holding the key. That makes me the clay pigeon.
You're getting paid for it. Just be there tomorrow at 10. Alive.
Well, I left the Lion and went out to the street. Nobody was there. I hailed a cab, and he let me off in front of my place. Nobody was there. I opened the front door of my apartment. Nobody was there. I began to feel like a good bet for the Lonely Hearts Club. It was a good feeling. I sat up all that night waiting. Nothing happened. I felt about as popular as a bald-headed chorus girl. Nobody made a play. It was 5 minutes to 10 when I pulled into the parking lot next to the American Security Bank. The car next to me was a black coupe with white sidewalls. It could have been the same one that tailed us the night before. But then I figured there's a lot of cars in L.A. like that. But I leaned in and I looked at the registration. This one belonged to a guy named Al Spandy, who lived in Van Nuys. I wrote the address down and walked into the bank. The guard in a blue uniform waved me downstairs to the safety deposit boxes. It was 10, and still nothing happened. I began to feel kind of relieved, like a flagpole sitter when the wind died down. Big Ben hadn't showed yet. The only one there was a blonde sitting in a glass cage in front of the vaults. She looked at me, and I began to wonder what she did on her days off.
Good morning. May I help you?
Yeah, I want to see if the rent on my box has been paid. Here's the key.
60B. Just a minute, I'll take a look. 60B. 60B's all paid for.
Well, I guess my partner must have taken care of it.
This isn't a joint box. You're the only one who can get into it, Mr. Bender. Would you like to go in now?
No, I'm waiting for somebody.
We're all waiting for somebody.
I'm waiting for a man.
So am I.
Been waiting long?
Years.
Here?
Yes.
Better places to wait.
The ones with money keep coming here. My name's Claire.
I'll remember that.
Will you remember this? Granite 3408.
I'll try it on my phone.
When?
As soon as I get a spare nickel.
I'll give you one.
Well, you'll run out of them that way.
That's why I work in a bank.
Kind of hard on the depositors.
Your, friend's late, isn't he?
I can wait.
Maybe he forgot. You should have tied a string around his finger.
No, lady. He already had one around his neck. Well, she went back to copping nickels, and I sat down in one of the plush chairs and waited. 10:30 came, 11 came, Bender didn't. I began to get an uneasy feeling, like a bubble dancer with a slow leak. At 11:10, I couldn't take any more waiting, so I left to head for Bender's place. Outside the bank, a thin guy with a sharp head was hawking papers. I slipped him the nickel that the blonde had given me, and he handed me a Daily News. I wanted to see what a horse named Larry R. had done at Belmont. I didn't get beyond the first page. Bender's picture was there, right next to Governor Dewey's, only Ben wasn't running for office. They found him in his room full of bullet holes. I guess he finally got a cure for that cough. I took my car out of the lot and headed for home. I mixed myself a tall one, and I was just getting to the bottom of it when a couple of guys kicked my door open.
Regan?
Yeah.
I'm Lieutenant Anderson, homicide. This is Sergeant Pinelli.
Hi. Don't you guys believe in knocking?
My knuckles are sore. Nice stuff.
Well, help yourself. It's out in the kitchen.
Don't drink on the job.
Pinelli?
Me neither.
You boys should have told me you were coming. I'd have called some girls.
Not on the job.
Pinelli?
I got a wife.
All right, Regan, find your hat.
What for?
Well, you want to look nice. We're going downtown, you and me and Pete. Right, Pete?
Right, Andy.
No, it's too hot there.
We thought of that. We'll give you a nice, cool place, won't we, Pete?
Sure will, Andy.
You got a warrant?
No, we just figured you might want to tell us why you did it.
Did what?
Tell him, Pete.
Knock off Ben Bender and burn his feet.
You're out of your mind.
Regan, we know you saw Bender last night. We know you got out of a car on the corner and walked up to his place. We know you were the last one to see him while he was still alive.
You got a witness?
Pretty one. A girl told us.
Oh, you're trying real hard, Anderson, but you haven't got anything.
If you were the last one to see him alive, you're the first one to see him dead. That's how we figured.
Did you figure on a guy named Al Spandy who drives a black coupe?
I never heard of him.
And how about a dozen other hoods who knew Bender?
Now you're trying hard, Regan.
You haven't even got a foundation.
We got the whole building.
It'll never stand up.
We'll see.
All right, you tell me why I did it.
You private eyes get folders on bank jobs.
I get them from Charles Atlas, too.
Bender was in on an $80,000 heist 8 years ago. He went up for carrying a concealed weapon, but the money was never found. You know that the Imperial Bonding Company's offering $5,000 for the recovery of that dough.
A lion.
Don't make any dates tonight. You're not going to be available.
All right. The lion will tell you I was working on a case when I saw Bender.
Oh, we already talked to the lion.
Well, what did he say?
He says he hasn't seen you for 5 days.
You are listening to the story of the man with the key, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Commissions are still available in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve. If you were a graduate registered nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, you may be eligible for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps section of the Regular Officers Reserve. These commissions are still available, and those who meet the high standards and qualify may elect active or inactive status. Those who request inactive status will continue with their civilian nursing duties but stand ready to serve in time of emergency. Nurses who elect active duty become commissioned officers in the regular Army. If you believe you qualify for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve, apply to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now back to the story of the man with the key and Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Well, I had about as much chance as a violin player with no chin. Anderson and Pinelli took me down and locked me in one of the rooms upstairs. They didn't ask any questions. I guess they figured they had enough answers. Oh, it was a real nice fix. A dame named Dora King takes me to a con named Ben Bender. He slips me a hot key and says meet him in a bank at 10. I'm there on time, getting the phone number of a blonde named Claire, only Ben doesn't show. Somebody burns his feet and fogs him before he can keep the date. And then there's a black coupe registered to a question mark named Al Spandy. And then the lion deals one from the bottom. Oh, it was a screwy picture, and I was right in the middle of the frame. Well, I spent the next 4 hours taking in some free entertainment from the drunk in the next cell.
Okay, Regan, on your feet.
Bastille Day?
You sprung.
Well, I was getting tired of the floor show anyway.
Try and make it Saturday sometimes. That's our big night.
Or if I bring a date?
I got a phone. I got a phone, my wife.
That guy ought to be at Ciro's.
Where do you think we picked him up?
Regan, I'm running out of patience with you. How many times have I told you to keep out of trouble?
Why didn't you tell him I was working on a case?
I went to a lot of trouble to get you out.
And you went to a lot of trouble to get me in.
That was easy. Still got that key to Bender's safety deposit box?
I got it.
Tomorrow morning at 10, you're at that bank getting into the box.
You're crazy. It's in Bender's name.
I'll teach you how to spell it.
I won't do it.
Homicide might like to know you got that key. Now, you listen to me and we'll both make dough.
Where I'd be, I couldn't spend it.
If the $80,000 from the bank job Bender pulled happens to be in that box, like I think it is, Imperial Bonding owes us $5,000 reward.
I don't like it.
You owe it to the company.
Now, listen, you. Bender was knocked off for this key. Whoever wants it might make another try.
Nobody knows you got it.
Well, I'll give it to you, and nobody will know you got it.
Regan, I'm giving you a chance to straighten yourself out.
That's right.
What do you mean?
I feel stiff already. Well, it was a triple play. Homicide to the Lion to the Black Coupe. I went home to wash off some of the jailhouse Lysol. When I walked in the front door, I had company. A gray flannel suit with a yellow tie was sitting on the edge of my bed. Both hands were full. The whiskey was mine. The gun was his. When he saw me, he set down the bottle and walked over and put the gun right against my neck. It felt cold, and I got kind of nervous, like a hula dancer in a forest fire.
Hiya, Regan. Been waiting for you.
You like my liquor?
I'm a rye drinker myself.
Well, bring your own next time.
That ain't being sociable.
You weren't invited.
How could I have been? You don't even know me.
You're Al Spandy. You drive a black coupe.
What'd I have for breakfast?
Egg, and it's all over your tie.
You look hot, Regan.
You have to hold that gun there.
Right there.
Same one you used on Bender?
The same. All right, now, give me, Regan.
I told you, I don't have any rye.
Where's the key?
I don't use one. My door's always open.
I'm talking about that key you got from Bender.
I don't have it.
Do you hear any music?
Yeah, but I'll sit the next one out.
No, you won't. This is a men's cheat.
I'll step on your toes.
I don't mind. It's a polka, and I want to do it with you.
Oh, it was a long dance, but Spandy didn't get tired. I knew I wasn't going to last the evening out. And then I saw Dora King standing in the doorway back to Spandy. She was taking everything in like a Hoover vacuum cleaner on a dirty rug. She had a .25 in her hand, and she knew how to use it. Thanks for cutting in, lady.
I had to do it. He was killing you.
Yeah, I'll take the gun, huh?
You know I'd have to do it.
Yeah. Here. Go on, drink it.
Yes.
Now, you want to tell me all about it?
Yes. I wanted to tell you at first, but Ben wouldn't let me.
He's not around to stop you.
Do you think Spandy hurt him much before he killed him?
I wasn't there.
He was sick. He couldn't have taken much.
Why'd you tip the cops on me?
I thought you might have done it. Now I know different.
Tell that to Homicide.
I will.
You better. Spandy can't.
He's dead?
That's right.
You still don't trust me.
No, I don't.
I couldn't help myself once the gun went off. Big Ben was my father.
Yeah?
He didn't want anyone to know. All he wanted was to give me a break.
Why'd he hire me?
He was afraid.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Regan?
Yeah?
May I have the key?
I haven't got it.
You can get it.
Maybe. You know what's in that box?
I think so.
Or why don't I turn it over to the police?
That's my job. Like I told you. I'm Big Ben's daughter.
Yeah, lady. You convinced Spandy. Well, I called Homicide, and Anderson and Pinelli handled it. We all wound up downtown. It didn't take them long to find out that the gun Spandy used on me was the same one that killed Big Ben. Dora gave Anderson her story. He said it would take some fixing, but he could keep her out of the papers. It was justifiable homicide. She wouldn't even be indicted, but they had to hold her overnight. Well, it was almost daylight when I pulled to a stop in front of my apartment. I was beginning to feel a little better, but it didn't last long. When I walked into my place, it looked like the L.A. Dons had been having a scrimmage. Every corner had been going over. Oh, it didn't make sense. Bender was dead, Spandy was dead, Dora King was downtown, but somebody still wanted that key. Well, I crawled into what was left of my bed and set the alarm for 9:30. I didn't sleep much. I kept seeing keys and faces and $80,000 bills. 10 o'clock the next morning, Dragnet 3408 was still sitting behind the same desk near the same safety deposit vault. She gave me the same look.
I waited for you to call last night.
I spent the nickel.
On a doctor?
I'd like to get into my box.
All right, Mr. Bender, sign here.
All right. There you are.
This way.
Looks like part of the new freeway.
One thing about a vault, it's quiet.
So's a tomb.
We're alone.
Yeah.
Well?
All right, Sunshine, open your eyes. My box number is 60B.
That can wait. I can't.
Easy, baby. You'll set off the alarm.
You and I can make a great team, Bender.
Now, you know my name's not Bender.
What is it?
Regan.
You and I can make a great team, Regan.
Is that what you told Al Spandy?
Why bring up a dead issue?
What's your deal?
You got Bender's key, I got the bank's key. You need both of them to open up the box.
It's good so far. Go on.
Oh, there's $80,000 there. Let's not let it go to waste.
Big Ben waited 7 years to open that box. Look what happened to him.
I waited just as long as Ben, and 7 years is harder on a girl.
How'd you work it?
Ben and I had a great plan. I was the cashier Ben heisted. Only I just gave him a bag full of paper. The real dough's in his box.
Well, that's the safest way. Keep your money in a bank.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when it cooled off, both of you go in and pick up the dough together.
That's the way it was supposed to work, only Ben was dumb enough to get himself picked up and tucked away for 7 years.
Oh, you made real good partners. Nobody trusted anybody.
I trust you.
That why you went through my place looking for the key last night?
Girls got to use their head. Besides, you might have been home.
Ben and Spandy are dead.
We don't have to worry about either of them. The money's still here. And we got the keys that'll open the box. Can you add that?
Yeah?
What's the answer?
About 20 years.
What do you mean?
That bonding company will see that you get the full load for grand larceny.
You wouldn't turn me in.
Don't make book on that.
You and I'd make a great team, Regan. We can't lose.
That's what USC thought. Well, I called Anderson and Pinelli, and they came out and picked her up. I rode down as far as the office with him. That wrapped it up. When I told the Lion what had happened, he was as happy as a college boy in a harem. He got on the phone right away and called up Imperial Bonding, told him to make out that reward check for 5 G's to Anthony J. Lyon. But he was real good about it. He took me for a ride in his new Nash convertible. Well, I guess he deserved it. He was really the patsy that had done all the heavy work ever since he bailed me out of jail. Because that's when I slipped Bender's key in his pocket.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan with Herb Butterfield as Anthony J. Lyon. Jeff Regan, Investigator, written by E. Jack Newman and Larry Roman, produced by Sterling Tracy, is heard each week at this time over CBS. Tonight's cast included Ken Christie, Yvonne Patey, Marvin Miller, Paul Frees, and June Martell. If you are a graduate registered nurse, please listen carefully to this important message. 29,000 nurses are needed to join the new Army Nurse Corps Officers Reserve. All nurses who receive reserve commissions will benefit from the opportunity for specialized training offered to them by the Army. Inactive reserve status will not interfere with the nurse's civilian life, but the educational opportunities offered her by the Army Medical Department will be of great advantage. For further information, drop a card to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. Original music for this program is by Dick Arant. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Dragnet. Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the burglary detail. During the last 2 weeks, there have been a series of burglaries in the Valley Division. You haven't got a lead. Your job, find one.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, September 9th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary division. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Bernard. My name's Friday. We're on our way out to a recently completed housing project in the valley. It was 10:13 a.m. when we got to the corner of Moore Park and Victory. Mayflower Homes.
This one right here, huh?
Yeah, 224.
I guess they haven't sold them all yet.
Mm-hmm.
$500 down, not so bad. Pretty nice houses.
You thinking of getting a new place?
Oh, I'm thinking. Kids are shooting up. We could use a little more room.
Mm-hmm.
Just what Faye always wanted. House nobody else is living in. Well, someday, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, sir?
We're police officers. This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Oh, how do you do?
Hi. Somebody reported a burglary at this address. Are you Sam Brighton?
Yes, sir, that's me.
Mm-hmm.
Would you show us where he broke in, please?
Oh, yes, sir. It's in the front bedroom. Just this right here. That's it, yeah. Just off the hall here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this window here, you can see where he jimmied it.
Yeah.
I was careful not to touch it. You know, fingerprints.
That's good. Can you give us a list of the things he took?
Well, no, sir, not for certain. We were just getting moved in, and we don't know for sure what's gone. A couple of silver trays and a pair of candlesticks, they're missing.
Any cash?
Oh, about $25. When I changed to go out to dinner last night, I left it in my trousers. They were in the other bedroom on the back of a chair. Pretty dumb place to leave money.
Your family live here with you?
My wife.
I see.
We've only been married a couple of weeks. Things he stole, they were wedding presents.
That's too bad.
Sure is a heck of a way to start out. Being married, I mean. Never wanted a house in the first place. Well, it's their own fault.
What do you mean, sir?
Sally's parents insisted on giving it to us, the down payment part. Sally will never be able to manage a big place like this. She's just a couple of years younger than I am. Just a kid. Apartment's what we ought to have. No point in arguing with in-laws, though. I found that out pronto.
Yeah. Any idea what time the burglary took place?
Yes, sir. Between 6 and 10 last night. Must have been then, between 6 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
We went over to Sally's folks for dinner. Our refrigerator hasn't been delivered yet.
I see.
The reason I'm so sure about the time is I wanted to find out how long it would take to drive there.
Mm-hmm.
I told Sally it wouldn't be more than 15 minutes. First time she's ever been away from home. She kind of likes to feel that her folks are handy.
I understand.
Hollywood Hills. That's where they live. Off of Mulholland. Took us 14 minutes. Left here 6 o'clock exactly. News was just coming on the radio. Got there 6:14. I'm not so sure when we got home, but it was right around 10 o'clock.
That's close enough.
Of course, I didn't know about the burglary then, when we got home. We just went straight to bed. Didn't come in here. We used the back bedroom.
Yeah.
It wasn't until this morning when I started looking in my pants for cash.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible he broke in while you were asleep?
Well, I might have slept through it, but not Sally. The least little thing wakes her up. She'd have heard him. Must have happened while we were out.
Have you noticed anybody suspicious hanging around the last couple of days?
No, sir. Of course, we're brand new in the neighborhood. Most of the houses aren't even sold yet. We wouldn't know who was suspicious and who wasn't.
Be all right if we talk to your wife?
Oh, she couldn't tell you anything I haven't.
She here now?
Over to Mother's. This kind of thing, well, it kind of threw her, you know. You know how it is, just a kid.
Yeah, I understand.
Wish it had been me that found out about the bird.
The bird?
Well, didn't I tell you? I meant to.
No.
Darndest thing. Parakeet. Somebody gave it to Sally when she was a girl. Taught it how to talk. Talk real good, too. Why should a burglar do a thing like that?
What did he do, turn it loose?
No, sir, he killed it.
We talked to Mrs. Brighton at her parents' home. She was unable to add anything to what her husband had told us. 1:15 p.m. The crime lab reported that there were no useful fingerprints on the Brighton window. Pictures were taken of the jimmy marks. There was no other physical evidence. September 11th, 2 more burglaries took place in a new housing tract near Sepulveda Boulevard. The burglar had followed the same M.O. used on the Brighton house. One victim also told us that 3 pet canaries had been killed. The other victim had no pets. By the end of the following week, 4 more burglaries had occurred in new housing developments. In each case where the home contained pet birds, the bird was killed. Other pets were not disturbed. Circulars describing the stolen articles were sent to all pawn shops in the city. September 21st, 8:05 a.m., we checked in for work.
Yeah.
What's the matter? You still asleep?
Yeah, I didn't get a wink last night. They was at me all night.
No?
It's my own fault, Joe. Never should have told her about all those new houses going up nowadays. It was a big mistake.
Well, I thought you told me you were considering a new house.
Yeah, I changed my mind. We got enough people staying with us as it is. Faye's relatives. Brother-in-law Armin, you know.
Oh, him, huh?
Yeah, he's down here. As long as he has to sleep on the living room couch, he'll take off after a day or two. Give him a real bed, and he'd stay with us for the rest of his life.
I get it. Burglary Friday. Yes, sir. When did it happen? I see. Just a minute, please. All right, go ahead. That's 214 South? Yes, sir. I've got it. Right. Well, we got another one.
Yeah?
Pet shop over near Lancashire Boulevard.
The shop?
Uh-huh.
That doesn't sound like our boy.
Might be if they sell birds. We left the office and drove out to the Biggs Pet Shop on a side street in North Hollywood. 9:07 a.m., we interviewed Jasper Biggs, the owner of the store. He told us that during the night, the back door had been forced open. $17 was missing from the cash register.
Money ain't important, you understand. Not that anybody likes being robbed.
Yes, sir, we understand.
Besides, it's happened before. That's why I keep this sign up here on the register that tells them how to open it.
I see.
A couple of years ago, a fella broke in and wrecked the machine trying to get it open. That cash register's worth a whole lot more than anything I keep in it.
Shut up over there, all of you!
Dang much racket in here, a person can't even think. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah, about the money. Now, like I said, it don't matter, the $17.
Yes,
sir. Birds is different. They do matter.
Sir?
Well, he killed all of them, every last one.
I see.
Parakeets, canaries, parrots.
Mm-hmm.
Parakeets and canaries, now, they don't matter. I can replace them. Insurance will take care of it anyway. Them parrots is another story. It's a different story entirely.
Yes, sir.
2 of them was on consignment, worth over $100 apiece. $100. Bet you never figured birds run that high, did you?
No, sir.
Well, they do. Parrots, anyway, some of them. And what's more, my insurance don't cover birds on consignment. How do you like that?
Huh?
Check with the fellow who sold me the policy right after I called the police. Says birds on consignment aren't covered. Loophole. That's what it is, loophole.
Yes, sir.
Probably somebody wanting to buy them parrots. Be just my luck. Biggs Pet Shop. Who? Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're still here. Just a minute. It's for you.
Thank you. This Friday. Yeah. Okay, give me that address. All right, I got it. As soon as we can.
Right. We got another one?
Tracked off Riverside Drive.
Same routine.
One thing's different.
Yeah.
Some lady saw him. We ended our interview with Mr. Biggs, and we drove out to the address of a Mrs. Nellie Diver, who had just reported a burglary. Mrs. Diver told us her house had been entered shortly after she left to do her marketing. She discovered she'd forgotten her grocery list, and she came back for it. When she returned, the burglar was in the dining room. He had entered through a side window. The M.O. appeared to be the same as in the other recent burglary.
Never saw such a surprised look on a man's face in my life. He just stood there like he was frozen solid for a minute or more. And then he lit out through the back door like it split.
Uh-huh. How long were you gone from the house, ma'am?
5-10 minutes. As soon as I remembered about my list, I started back. I don't know why I'm getting so forgetful. Old age must be catching up with me.
Well, it's a good thing you did forget, Miss Diver.
Hmm? Oh, you mean so he didn't get time to steal anything?
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing around here worth stealing. Wonder how he happened to pick me. It'd be different if I lived up in Bel Air or one of those estates.
Well, if it's who we think it is, he's satisfied with smaller homes.
You mean he'd pulled this kind of stunt before?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't say.
Do you think you'd recognize the man if you saw him again?
I beg your pardon?
The man who broke in here. You said you got a good look at him.
Oh, real good. Stood there in the dining room for a full minute, maybe more.
Then you'd recognize him, would you?
I don't see why not. This isn't the first time we met up, you understand.
How's that?
Saw him once before.
Well, when was that?
Last week sometime. I'm not certain. Wednesday or Thursday, middle of the week, in through there.
You sure it was the same man?
Looked the same. Came right up to my door.
Well, what do you want?
I'm not certain of that either. I've been racking my brain trying to remember. So many fellows around here last week. 2 or 3 milkmen trying to sign me up. A couple of people wanting me to take newspapers. 3 or 4 asking about dry cleaning. Somebody selling rugs. Spent half my time running to the door. So help me, I can't remember which one he was. Getting old, sure as fate.
You think he was just pretending to be a door-to-door salesman of some kind or other?
Seems to me they were all trying to sell something. It's what always happens when you settle in a new location.
Yes, ma'am. What if you'd mind coming downtown with us for a little while?
No, I wouldn't mind. What for?
We'd like to show you some photographs, see if you can pick the man out for us.
Right now?
If you could, yes.
Well, you just give me a minute to get my hat and change Henry's water.
Henry?
My canary out in the kitchen.
Oh.
Haven't you noticed the way he's been... Oh, that's funny.
Ma'am?
He's usually singing up a blues streak this time of day.
We went into the kitchen with Mrs. Diver, and we found the dead bird. She agreed to accompany us downtown. 11:05 a.m. We pulled the mug shots of burglars who matched the description that she'd given us, and we showed them to Mrs. Diver. She identified one of the photographs, Stanley A. Bushing. Bushing had done time in the state penitentiary as a cat burglar. From his 510s, we learned his acquaintances and the places he was known to frequent. 3:36 p.m. We located Bushing in a bar on North Main. Stan Bushing?
Yeah?
Police officers.
You don't say.
Want to talk to you, Bushing.
Be my guest.
Come on, let's go.
What's the matter with right here? Joint don't get noisy until later on. Why not right here?
Where were you last night?
What time?
All night. And this morning, 8 o'clock this morning.
Why do you want to know?
All right, come on, let's go.
Well, give me a chance to finish my beer, will you? Look, you boys want to know where I was last night? All right, I'll tell you. I just want to know why, that's all.
You been up the valley lately? Well, come on, how about it?
Oh, that's why you're after me. Oh, you think I've been pulling those house crawls?
What do you know about them?
Well, I read in the papers.
You know more than that.
I do?
There was another one this morning.
That's news to me.
That's so.
Yeah, I haven't bought a paper yet today.
Lady saw you.
Huh?
Right after you broke in.
Me, huh?
She says it's you.
Well, she needs glasses.
Well, we don't think so.
Look, you'll never make it stick.
We're going to try, fella.
I'm clean. Not even on parole no more.
There won't be parole this time.
There won't be anything.
Oh, come on, Bushing. Quit stalling.
Look, don't get yourself in an uproar. Take it easy. You'll live longer. Suppose I got an alibi.
Well, we'll try it for size.
For all night and this morning.
Go on.
I was with friends.
We got a lady who says different.
I got a lot of friends.
Yeah, we know you're friends. We'll settle for the lady.
10:30 last night till 9 o'clock this morning with them every minute.
Where?
You ain't gonna like it.
Where were you?
You're gonna look pretty foolish.
Come on, let's have it, Bushing.
Drunk tank, Lincoln Heights Jail.
We verified Bushing's alibi with the booking sergeant at Lincoln Heights, and we learned that he was in the clear as far as the previous night was concerned. 5:06 p.m. We interviewed Mrs. Diver again. She wavered in her identification of Bushing's photo, and she said she couldn't tell us anything more. Teletypes of the suspect's description were set out. The next day, Tuesday, September 22nd, we had a meeting with the skipper, Captain Bernard.
Well, where do we stand?
Just about where we did when it started.
It's not good, is it?
No, it's not.
We thought we had him yesterday, Skipper, but it didn't pan out.
You got a description?
Well, if she's no better at describing him than she is at identification, it doesn't mean much.
We figure he pretends to be a salesman of some kind.
That how he cases the houses?
As far as we can tell, yeah.
You need a lot more than that.
No.
This guy's got to be stopped. It isn't just the burglaries. Seems half of the people in L.A. keep pet birds. I don't know. My kids have a couple of canaries themselves. You get attached to them like you do anything else.
Yeah, I know.
You boys seen the mail on this thing?
No, sir.
Letters from all over, not just in town here, all over. People are raising Cain. My own kids asking me when we're going to catch him. Can't wait any longer for a break. We've got to make one.
Well, you got any ideas?
I don't know. We've just been working housing projects, huh?
Except for that one pet store, yeah.
Well, let's forget the store and see if we can get a pattern out of the houses.
Well, they're all new places. Folks have just moved in. He cracks one or two in each development, then he moves on. So far, he stayed in the Valley Division out there.
The way they're building up out that way, you won't run out of targets.
No.
They opened any new projects last week or so?
Yeah, a couple.
He tapped them yet?
No. We alerted the owners, told them to warn anybody who moves in. Probably won't do much good, though.
Might. If you two moved in.
Wednesday, September 23rd. We drove out to a new track just off Coldwater Canyon Boulevard. It was called White Manor Homes. We found the tract office near the main entrance, and we went inside.
Gentlemen, what can I do for you? Are you interested in owning a new home?
We're police officers, sir. This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Police?
That's right, sir.
Well, I don't think I've had any parking tickets lately.
We're from burglary.
Oh, about the Birdman, I suppose.
How's that?
Yeah, that's what they call him in the papers, you know, the Birdman.
Yes, it's about him.
He hasn't been around here.
Well, no, sir, not as far as we know.
Well, that's a relief. Not that it makes much difference.
You're in charge of this project, are you, sir?
Yes, sir. My name's Simple, Forrest Simple. I've got a card right here on the desk.
That's all right, Mr. Simple.
I own White Manor Home.
I see.
I guess I should say me and the bank. We own it together.
Yes.
It's all going to belong to the bank, though, the way things are going. Been open nearly a week now. I haven't sold a single house. Haven't even had a decent offer.
Oh, what's the trouble, sir?
Now, you know what's the trouble just as well as I do. Birdman, that's the trouble. Folks just aren't going to move into any new developments until he's caught.
sent me a circular last week, the police department. I'm supposed to warn anybody who buys from me. Put them on their guard.
Yes, sir.
Don't need any warning. They're scared off as it is. 3 months ago, I'd be half sold out by now. Seems to me you fellows are dogging it. Now, I'm not telling you your business, mind you, but it seems to me you should have picked him up before this.
Yes, sir. Maybe you can help us.
How's that?
Well, the sign out in front says that 2 of your houses are furnished. Is that right?
Oh, that's just for display. Weston's department store did it. Figures it's good advertising.
Yes, sir.
Of course, I don't sell them furnished, just for display.
We'd like to use one of them for a few days.
Use one?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm afraid I don't follow you.
Well, sir, you've got a sold sign that you can put up in the front yard, haven't you?
Well, I guess so.
Well, we'll see that nothing's disturbed. If anybody asks, you tell them that a new couple moved in.
Oh, I get you. Decoys, huh?
Yes, sir, something like that.
Well, I don't know. Department store might not go for the idea.
Well, we'll clear it with them.
Well, if it's all right with them.
Thank you.
How long do you suppose it'll take?
How's that?
To catch him.
Well, your guess is as good as ours, if it works at all.
It better work. Pressure's building up. You fellas don't know what it's like being under pressure. Owe the bank a lot of money on this project. Figured I'd have at least half a dozen houses sold by now. At least half a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
Interest to be paid is the principal, and the bank expects it on time. You can't blame them for that.
No, sir.
You don't know what it's like having the pressure turned on.
We get a little every once in a while.
Oh, well, that's different. Your boss rides you and tells you to get on the ball. You don't have to worry. He can't fire you. Cops are civil servants. Pressure from your boss? Well, that's different.
Not coming from him.
Well, where's it coming from?
Guy who kills birds. We telephoned the Wesley department store and we talked to the manager. He gave us permission to use the house that they decorated. At a neighborhood pet store, we purchased a cage and 2 canaries. It was 11:30 a.m. when we got back to White Manor Homes. Mr. Simple was putting up a sold sign in front of one of the houses.
What you got there? Oh, canaries, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, here's the key. In case you want to lock up. Door's open now.
Thank you.
Want me to spread the word?
What's that, sir?
That I've sold this place?
We'd appreciate that.
Okay, I'll see that it gets around.
Thank you.
Man, some layout, huh?
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, great. You know anything about taking care of birds?
Well, I don't think there's much to it. Just water and seed, huh?
Yeah. Hey, Joe. Get a load of that couch.
Yeah.
What is it, 8 feet long? What's an inch?
Just about.
If they ever sees this place, I'm dead.
What'd you tell her?
Oh, we were on a job. I certainly didn't go into detail.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder what it would cost. To fix a joint up like this, how much it would cost?
More than we make.
Yeah. Nah, probably wouldn't be very comfortable anyway. Not like having your own stuff you're used to.
No.
Hey, boy, they're really cleaning up a storm, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're kind of cute, too. Hey, you know, Joe Fay might like a couple of birds. They're good company for her when the kids are in school.
Well, maybe you can have those.
I never thought of that.
If he doesn't get them first. No one came by the house that afternoon or that evening. At 6 p.m., Frank went home. I stayed through the night. Thursday, September 24th, 9:15 a.m. We had our first visitor. Frank waited in the bedroom while I talked to her. She was a young lady who said that she represented the local Chamber of Commerce. She told me her job was to welcome newcomers to the neighborhood. She gave me some maps and a book of coupons which could be exchanged for free introductory gifts at various stores in the vicinity. During the rest of the day, we had 4 more callers, 2 newspaper agents, a representative from a dry cleaning establishment, and a charity worker. As far as we could tell, they were all genuinely fond of birds. 4:45 p.m., a small old truck pulled up in front.
Look, coming up the walk.
Pretty close to Miss Diver's description, isn't it?
Yeah. Want me to get out of here?
Yeah, better if he only sees one of us, huh?
Right.
Okay.
Lady of the house here?
Out shopping.
Oh, wow, come back.
And what's it about?
I'd rather talk to her.
Why?
I'd like to take over your yard. I'm a gardener, mister.
Oh, well, I'm the one to see about that. Why not?
Ask a man for a gardening job. He says he'll do it himself, weekends and after work. Don't understand how much work it'll be. Wife knows better and knows her husband, too. She's the one hires me.
Well, maybe I'm different. It's a pretty big yard. Plan on spending my weekends on my back.
I don't blame you.
Come on inside for a minute.
Yeah, sure.
How much would you charge for a yard this size?
Want me to handle watering, too?
No, I guess we can take care of the water.
Well, I'll come once a week, then mow the lawn, look after your flowers, do weeding, planting.
Well, we're pretty well landscaped now.
Well, you'll want some of your own plants. Could use a couple more roses alongside there.
That's possible. What's the matter?
No. I'm just looking around. Swell place you got here.
How much for the yard work?
$25 a month.
That's nice, Steve.
Big yard, said so yourself.
Mm-hmm. You'd only be here a couple hours a week, you know.
Well, 25 is the best I can do. You think it over. I got to be sure now.
How about 20?
Sorry, mister.
Not worth any more than that. Got plenty of gardeners for 20, you know that.
Up to you. Ain't got any other jobs in this neck of the woods. I have to drive all the way out here.
How'd you happen to find us then? I say, how'd you happen to find us then?
Well, I heard about this project. I thought more of them would be sold by now.
Mm-hmm.
Guess you're the only people moved in, huh?
Right.
Yeah, I thought there'd be more.
Probably will be before long.
Well, if I pick up any other customers in the project, I might come down. 25 for now.
Ready, can't swing that.
Well, you think it over. I'll drop back there, so. Somebody here most of the time?
Most of the time, yeah.
I'll drop back.
Oh, shut up, will you?
What?
I wasn't talking to you. Those
Oh.
canaries.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
What's wrong with them?
Well, they're a nuisance. They're always screeching to get on somebody's nerves.
I guess you don't like birds.
Well, I could do without these.
Well, why don't you get rid of them?
Oh, my wife adores that.
Ah, yeah.
Pride and joy. You know, she talks to them all the time. Baby talk.
Yeah, just like my old lady.
Your wife keep birds too, does she?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah, when I was a kid, cages all over the place. I had 15, 20 birds.
Well, I guess I'm lucky we only got these.
Yeah, you're lucky, you know. I had a dog once.
Yeah?
Rusty, that was his name. There's a mutt. Only dog I ever had. Killed one of our canaries.
All right.
It wasn't his fault. Bird got loose. He didn't know no better. Just playing with it. Didn't mean to kill it.
Sure.
We got rid of Rusty. My mom did. Sent him away. I don't know what happened to him.
That's too bad.
Never had another dog after that. He wouldn't let me. Just words. Just lay awake at night listening to him sing. That's what she called it. Didn't sound like singing to me. Couldn't cover him over. That was cruel to cover him over. Half night long, I had to listen to him. Like you said, gets on a fellow's nerves.
Yeah.
I sneaked downstairs, took them out of their cages. I got real quiet. Killed them all. All Mom's birds. Well, I couldn't stay after that. I ran away from home. Wish I could have stayed. Wish I could have seen her face next morning. Made it up for Rusty.
Yeah.
I still keep hearing them, though. Have to keep killing them over and over. So many birds.
Mm-hmm.
Folks put them in a cage, lock them up. Feel sorry for them afterwards. Don't make sense. I don't feel sorry for something just because it's locked up.
You might.
The story you've just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 12th, the hearing was held in Department 98, Superior Court, State of California, in and for the county of Los Angeles. Philip James Borch was examined by 6 psychiatrists appointed by the court and found to be mentally incompetent. He was committed to the state mental hospital at Mendocino for an indefinite period of time.
Dragnet is a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the Bunko fugitive detail. A pawnbroker tells you he suspects a swindle. He isn't sure. Your job? Check it out.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, May 18th. It was cool in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch at a Bunko fugitive detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Dillian. My name's Friday. I was on my way into the office, and it was 7:55 a.m. when I got to room 38. Bunko fugitive.
Never know. Hi, Joe.
Morning.
You remember Fred Alpin?
Oh, sure. Hi, Fred.
Hi. Holding my own, Sergeant.
Well, what's new?
I'm not sure. Maybe just wasting my time. Yours, too.
Fred thinks he stumbled onto a con game, Joe.
All right?
No, look that way to me, anyhow.
No. Well, what's the sting?
Well, I was just telling Smith here. Yeah. A fella came in last night, a little guy. He was kind of timid. Probably never been in a pawn shop before. At least he wasn't a steady. You know, I can spot them straight off.
Yeah.
Wanted to pawn a ring. Got a big green stone. Fancy setting. All gimmicked up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Man's ring. Real fancy, though. Asked me what it was worth.
What'd you tell him?
Worth $20, maybe 25.
Is that what you told him?
You know I can't loan full value. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
I offered him $5. I would have gone up to 10 if he'd have pressed me. That's better than a lot of brokers would give.
Did you take the 5?
Are you kidding? He went all to pieces. Thought he was going to have a hemorrhage. Started calling me a crook. Said the ring was an emerald. Shouted, screamed all over the place. It's an emerald, he said. A $5,000 emerald. That hunk of glass.
Are you sure you didn't make a mistake, Fred?
No, I ask you, Sergeant. Would anybody try to pawn a 5G emerald with me? I ask you.
Uh-huh.
Glass, that's what it was. Green glass. A nice setting, though.
What do you think, Joe? Well, the old diamond switch, maybe. Could be. Sounds like the only difference is the color. You get his name, Fred?
Yeah, I asked him. He just shouted and carried on, though. He wasn't making any sense at all. Got his license, though.
Oh?
Yeah, he was parked right in front of the place. Got the number when he drove off. Thought you might want it.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote it out. Put it in my pocket. It should be right here. Now, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, here it is. A match folder on the inside. You make it out all right?
Yeah, I think so. We'll check it.
Uh-huh. Might be a good idea if you got right on it, huh?
What do you mean?
Well, just before he left my place, he stopped all that carrying on. I think it sunk in what I told him about the ring being no good.
Yeah.
Got real quiet, you know, kind of like he was making up his mind about something.
Yeah.
Asked me to sell him a gun.
Fred Alpin gave us a description of the man who had tried to pawn the ring. We called our branch of DMV and asked them to check the license number. They came up with the information that the automobile bearing that license was registered in the name of Garfield Hunt at 221 North Selma Avenue, Hollywood. 9:03 a.m. Frank and I drove out to talk to him.
Well, it sure is a clear day. Look at those hills, Joe.
Well, I read in the paper you can see for 40 miles.
Yeah, I bet.
Morning.
Who are you? What do you want?
Is Mr. Hunt here?
No. No, he's not here.
Well, he lives here, doesn't he?
Who are you?
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. We're police officers.
Police?
That's right. This is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Where is he? What's happened to him?
Mind if we come inside? Be a little easier to talk.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, I forgot. Sofa's still made up. Slept down here last night, so I'd be near the phone. Thought he might call. Thought somebody'd call.
Your husband didn't come home.
Never happened before. Not in 37 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Just let me fold up that blanket so you
Here,
can
I'll
sit
give you a
down.
hand, ma'am.
Oh, thank you.
You got any idea where your husband might have gone, Miss Hunt?
No. No idea at all.
What time did he leave?
9:35. Looked at the clock as he went out the door. Couldn't believe it. Not like Gar to go out that late. He's usually in bed by 10.
Yes, ma'am.
He promised me he'd only be gone an hour. Promised me he'd be back by 10:30 for sure.
I see.
Never heard a word from him after that, not a word. What do you suppose happened to him?
We're sorry we don't know, Miss Hunt.
Well, you must have some notion.
Sorry, we don't.
You said you wanted to talk to him.
Just a few questions, routine.
What about?
Well, we'd rather talk to him. You notify the police that he's missing?
No, I didn't know what to do. Figured you'd get in touch with me when you found him. Guess I wasn't thinking very good. Never happened before.
Yes, ma'am. Are there any friends he might be staying with, relatives?
We don't know anybody else from Los Angeles.
I see.
Just moved out here last winter from Kansas. Children have grown up, settled. Gar sold the business. We moved out here. Kansas winters can be pretty cold.
Yes, ma'am. Is your husband retired?
Yeah, he should be. He worked hard all his life. He deserves a rest. Had a little trouble with his heart last year. No, not a real attack. But the doctor told him to take it easy.
Mm-hmm.
Not Gar, though. Wasn't out here 2 months before he got all restless and fidgety. Just couldn't take it sitting around the house. Started up again.
In business?
Yes, sir. We had a tailor shop back in Kansas. Gar found a new business district opening up in the San Fernando Valley off Magnolia Boulevard. They were renting cheap, right at the beginning, wanted tenants.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do much business at first, but things have been getting better. Gar's a good tailor. A lot more careful than most. Learned his trade young. The days when there were tailors.
Yes, ma'am. You try to reach him there at the shop?
I called last night 3 or 4 times. This morning, too. Nobody answered.
Let's see.
You think you can find me?
We'll do our best.
I guess maybe I should have notified you last night.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't know what to do. Thought you'd get in touch with me if something happened.
Well, better to call us first.
No, I guess so.
Then it might not happen. Mrs. Hunt gave us a description of her husband. We advised her to make a formal report at the Valley Division. A local and an APB were sent out. 3:15 p.m. Patrol car unit 9L78 reported Hunt had been found sitting in his car. The car was parked on Mulholland Drive. Hunt had readily identified himself. We asked the officers to bring him in for questioning.
Hi, Joe. Frank.
Pete?
Hi, Pete. Here he is.
Thanks for spotting him for us.
Sure, anytime.
Want to sit down, Hunt? Go ahead, sit down.
What do you want with me?
Just like to talk to you, that's all. This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
I've never been under arrest before, not once.
Well, now you're not under arrest now, Mr. Hunt.
And what am I doing here? Why did those officers make me come with them?
Well, you didn't go home last night. Your wife's been worried about you.
Well, I was going home when they found me. Wasn't any place else to go. Sarah oughtn't to have called.
She didn't call, sir.
Well, how'd you find out?
You tried to buy a gun. Pawn shop over on Main Street.
Oh.
Well, what'd you want the gun for?
I wouldn't have hurt him. I just wanted my money back. I thought I could scare him. That's all. I don't know nothing about firearms. Thought maybe I could scare him.
Who'd you want to scare? Now, who were they?
Well, they said they was renting a store next to mine. Said they was jewelers that opened up a Valley branch for Lassingwells. You know, the big jewelry store downtown here.
Uh-huh.
Crooks. That's what they were. Out and out crooks. Went looking for them early this morning. Back door to their store was open, you know, the one next to mine.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I couldn't find hide nor hair of them. The place was empty. Just a couple of fakes. Had the windows soaked over so nobody could see what they were up to. Pounding on some old boards, making me think that they was remodeling.
Uh-huh. How much money did they get from you?
Not them exactly. Fellow working with them. Must have been working with them. Only way it makes sense.
Well, now, suppose you tell us about it, will you?
He come into my shop day before yesterday. It was long about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Called himself Norman Christ. He said he was from Greeley.
Really?
That's a town in Colorado where my brother lives.
Mm-hmm.
Said he knew my brother Ed back there.
What do you want with you?
Well, he claimed that Ed asked him to look me up, see how I was doing. Probably didn't know Ed at all. They must have told him, them jeweler fellas.
Uh-huh.
I got to thinking back. Remembered I mentioned having a brother in Colorado one day when we was having lunch. Told him the town, too. Greeley.
What happened then? Did he sell you the ring?
Oh, you know about that, too.
Well, you tried to pawn it, didn't you?
No, sir, not really. I just wanted to find out how much it was worth so that I could tell Sarah, you know, I was going to surprise her. Figured that I'd give him another day before I tried to sell it.
Well, how'd you happen to buy it?
Oh, I wasn't buying it outright. I was just loaning him on it.
Mm-hmm.
Told me he had a chance to option some property out near Encino. Real bargain. Said he had to close the deal by 5 p.m. that same day. He needed cash for a clincher.
Mm-hmm.
Had to get the money from Colorado. That's what he said. He was afraid he wouldn't be here in time. He couldn't go to the bank, didn't have any credit in L.A.
Uh-huh.
Needed $3,000. He said that if I'd loan him the $3,000, he'd give me back $4,000 first thing the next morning. Offered me his ring for security. He said it was worth $7,000 easy. Said it cost him more than that.
You hand the money over?
No, sir, not by a darn sight. Told him I didn't have $3,000. I told him straight out.
Uh-huh.
Said all I had was $1,500 in my savings account. I guess I shouldn't have said that.
Very nuts, sir.
He told me he might be able to swing it for $1,500. He'd have to go out there and see him in person. Said he'd come back.
Did he leave then?
No, not right away. I stopped him. I told him there was no point in coming back. I'm no jewel, I said. How do I know that ring's worth $7,000? Told me to get it appraised while he was gone. Told me to take it to any jeweler I wanted to. Seemed like he sure trusted me. Even a valuable ring like that kind of sold me on him.
Mm-hmm.
I went next door to ask those fellas who said they was jewelers. Place was locked up, so I figured they was still out to lunch.
Mm-hmm.
I figured maybe they was in the drugstore down on the corner, see?
Did you find them up there?
Yes, sir.
What'd they say about the ring?
Perfect emerald. That's what they said. One of them put a gadget up his eye, looked through a... You know what I mean?
Yes, sir, I know.
Perfect emerald worth $10,000. Not the flaw in it.
Mm-hmm.
Acted like they thought it was mine. Offered to buy if I wanted to sell. I told them about the other fellow. That he needed $3,000. I told them the whole story. I did.
Uh-huh.
They said they'd loan him $5,000 without batting an eye. Offered to make out a check right then and there. Kind of took my wind away. They were so anxious. I said maybe we could go in 50-50. They put up $1,500. I'd put up $1,500. That way, the guy would have $3,000 if he still needed that much. We could both make a little profit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
One of them asked me how I wanted the check. Should make it out to me. I told him, oh, make it out to cash.
You remember how he signed it?
Jones. Quincy Jones. That's the name I knew him by. Other one called himself Wyatt Truesdale. I don't think that's their real name. Do you? Probably one of those, what did you call them?
Aliases.
Yes, sir, yeah, that's it. Well, anyway, I went over to my bank and drew out the $1,500. About 2:30, the fellow came back, the one who gave me the ring.
Yeah.
Said he tried to talk the real estate people into being satisfied with $1,500. Wouldn't come down. Insisted on the whole $3,000. I told him not to worry, that I had it. Give him my $1,500 and the check. He said the check would be okay, seeing as how it was on a local bank. He promised that he'd pay me back the next morning.
That'd be yesterday.
Yes, sir. And when he didn't show up, I wanted to make sure just how much it was worth, the ring.
Mm-hmm.
In case something had happened to it. In case he didn't come back for it. That's why I went to the pawn shop.
Mm-hmm.
Offered me $5 for it. The man in the pawn shop. Couldn't believe him at first. Said it was just glass, hunk of glass. Then a great light broke on me. How I'd been tricked. All of a sudden it come to me.
Well, why'd you stay out all night? Why didn't you go home?
Well, you see, sir, I couldn't face Sarah. I knew I'd been swindled. $1,500. Every cent that we'd saved. Been married 37 years. It was Sarah's money, too.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because she's my wife. They helped earn it.
Well, we'll try and get it back for you, Mr. Hunt.
Not much to show for 37 years, is it? That's what I kept thinking while I was sitting in my car up there in the hills. All day long, just kept thinking. 37 years. $1,500. I'll have to tell her, won't I?
Well, sir, I think that's up to you.
She'll know it anyway. She'll know something's wrong.
Yes, sir.
Too late to start all over. We won't have them. There's another chance.
Have what, sir?
Another 37 years.
We continued to interview the victim, Garfield Hunt, and he gave us descriptions of the three suspects. The stats office came up with 24 possibles. We showed the mug books to Hunt. He identified two of the photographs, Ernest Wilcoxon and Paul Cleaver. Hunt was positive that Wilcoxon and Cleaver were the men who had rented the store next to his and had pretended to be jewelers. He was unable to find a photograph of Norman Christ, the man who had sold him the ring. We pulled the packages on Wilcoxon and Cleaver. They had both done time for burglary. They had not previously worked with a third person. We called the Lassingwell Jewelry Company. They informed us that they were not opening a branch out in the valley. We checked with the owners of the building in which Hunt had his tailor shop. They told us the adjacent store had been rented on a weekly basis, and that the renters had said they intended to use the space for temporary storage. A local and an APB were sent out on all three suspects. 5:13 p.m. Using the information from their mama sheets, Frank and I began checking various places where Cleaver and Wilcoxon had been known to hang out. 7:12 p.m. We went into the Black Parrot Bar on South Broadway, and we talked to the bartender.
Not by them names, I don't know them.
Well, maybe these pictures will help.
How about it?
Yeah, they come in here once in a while.
Yeah, that's what we heard.
Always come in together?
As far as I know.
Ever bring somebody with them? Tall, thin fella, about 30, blonde hair?
No, just two of them. Never seen them with another guy.
I see.
What do you want them for?
You know how we can turn them up?
They ain't here now.
We can wait.
Won't be in tonight.
How do you know?
They got money.
Well?
Big roll. The red-headed one was in yesterday. Quincy Jones. That's what he told me his name was.
Yeah.
Been running a tab. He paid it up in full. I had plenty left over.
Is that right?
As long as they're carrying a roll, they don't come to my place. Head for them expensive joints, like out on the strip, places like that. When they've blown their loot, they come back to me and start running up another tab. I called them on it, but what can you do? This is where I get some of their bundles.
Uh-huh. You know where they live?
Around here somewheres. I couldn't pin it down for you.
Who could?
How bad you want to find out?
What do you mean?
It'll cost you a drink.
You that thirsty?
Oh, not for me. Girl over there in the corner booth, the blonde.
Oh, yeah.
She knows him. Been out with him a couple of times. I've seen them leave together.
All right.
I was just kidding about that drink. It's on the house. For you guys and her, too.
No, we don't want anything.
And we'll pay for hers.
It's up to you.
Hi.
Good evening, miss.
You're new, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
This place could stand some new talent. Here, I'll move over.
Thanks. Thank you.
What's the matter with this side?
We're police officers.
How do you like that?
Ma'am?
Horoscope said I was going to meet somebody new today. You know, in the morning paper?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't say it'd be cops.
Oh, your yard plate.
Where'd that come from?
These guys.
You shouldn't call them guys, Jake. Fellow buys a lady a drink, that makes him a gentleman. From these gentlemen, that's what you should say.
Oh, sure.
To your very good health, gentlemen. Now then, what can I do for you? I'm at your service.
The bartender says these guys are friends of yours.
Oh, I wouldn't say those pictures do them justice, but there is a resemblance.
You know them, then?
We've met. We weren't formally introduced, but we've met. Meet a lot of people in here. Not the best people in town, maybe. It's not the best bar in town, but it's convenient. I work down the street.
Uh-huh. You know where these men live?
Huh? Oh, you mean these two so-called friends of mine?
Yeah.
Am I?
Well.
Did you ever hear of the North Cross Arms Hotel?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been there with them, of course. I'm not sure that's their residence, but Quincy was carrying a hotel key, and one night it fell out of his pocket. I think that was the name on the tag, North Cross Arms.
All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the brandy.
Don't mention it. All right, what do we owe you?
6 bits. She drinks good stuff.
There you go. Keep the change.
Looks like I got one decent break.
That's so?
Them paying their tab today before you pick them up.
No, they didn't pay it.
Huh? Who did?
A man named Hunt. The clerk at the North Cross Arms Hotel told us that two men who resembled Wilcoxon and Cleaver were registered under the names of Jones and Truesdale. He said they'd gone out for the evening. He showed us up to their room, 36A. We asked him about the suspect known as Norman Christ. He told us he'd never seen anybody with Wilcoxon and Cleaver who answered Christ's description. 2:48 a.m. Wilcoxon and Cleaver returned to their room. We took them into custody and drove them down to the city hall for questioning.
How many times you want to hear
Until
it?
we get the truth.
Does Hunt say he gave us any money? He never gave us a cent, did he, Ernie?
No, we even paid his lunch tab a couple of times.
That's right. Always managed to out-fumble us. Owes us a couple of lunches.
He paid him back.
What?
$1,500 buys a lot of lunches.
What 15?
You got your share. You've been spending all over town.
Hunt say he gave it to us?
You still had over $600 when we picked you up. Now, where'd it come from?
Hollywood Park. Picked 3 long shots yesterday. You want the names of the horses?
Where's Chris?
Told you before, never heard of him. Who is he?
The guy you worked the game with.
Never heard of him.
You want to take this rap yourself?
What rap?
Why'd you rent that store out in the valley?
Store?
We showed him your mug shots, the man you rented it from. He made you. You want it in person? How about it?
Guess they got us there, Ernie.
Yeah.
We were going to open up a bookie joint.
Is that right?
Yeah, we changed our minds, looked the situation over, decided it might get a little warm out in the valley, and cleared out.
Bookie joint, huh?
That's right.
Not a jewelry store.
What are you talking about? Us? Jewelers? Ernie and me?
That's what you told Hunt.
Nothing of the kind. Laid it on the line. Told him we were bookies. Just between us, he was kind of pleased about it. Likes to play the horses himself. Liked the idea of being able to lay a bet so convenient.
You're a liar.
Now, look. Say, maybe that's what happened to his money. Maybe he lost it on a nag.
Come on, let's try it again. Now, why'd you rent the store?
You're going to get the same answers. Same questions, same answers. It's a waste of time.
We got plenty.
72 hours. That's all you got. You can hold us on suspicion for 72, then you can turn us loose unless you prove something.
We'll prove it.
How? We didn't take any money from Hunt. Nobody says we did, even him. If he was a mark for this, what's his name, Chris?
That's right.
How do you wrap us into the package? Hunt never saw us with him. Nobody saw us with him.
We'll find somebody.
72 hours, and you got to turn us loose. That's the law.
Is that right?
We know the law.
Why'd you break it? We continued to question the suspects, but we were unable to break them down. Thursday, May 19th, 7:45 a.m. Another team of detectives took over the interrogation. Frank and I went back to the office.
Think they'll cop out, Joe?
I don't know. It doesn't look like it, does it?
No, not unless we turn up Chris.
Did you call your wife?
Yeah, sure bawled me out. Kept dinner waiting till after 10. You're lucky.
Well, maybe.
Wonder if I'll get home tonight.
I got it. Bunko fugitive, Friday. Yeah, that's right. Sounds like him. How long ago? Uh-huh. Yeah.
Chris?
Fits the description. Smashed up a car on the Hollywood freeway. Georgia Street recognized him from our teletype.
You able to talk?
Died 10 minutes after they brought him in. At the morgue, the victim, Garfield Hunt, identified the body. He was positive it was Norman Christ, the man who had sold him the ring. Wilcoxon and Cleaver were also shown the body. They denied that they'd ever seen Christ before. The next day, Friday, May 20th, the evidence against Wilcoxon and Cleaver was taken to the district attorney's office. The complaint was refused. The evidence was deemed insufficient to bring the matter to trial at this time. Wilcoxon and Cleaver were released. 6:05 p.m. Frank and I got ready to sign out.
Well, that really tears it. Sure does. The DA's office knows they're guilty. We know it and can't do a thing.
Yep.
I guess we've been wasting our time, Joe, just fanning the ball.
Well, I'll tell you, we've spotted them, and they're going to stay spotted.
Yeah.
Next time they move in on a mark, we'll make it stick.
It wouldn't be very smart of them to try it twice.
They're not smart.
Huh?
They tried it once.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
2 months later, on July 12th, Wilcoxon and Cleaver were apprehended for a similar crime. They were charged with 1-count grand theft. On November 6th, trial was held in Department 98, Superior Court, State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. Ernest T. Wilcoxon and Paul Cleaver were found guilty of 1-count grand theft and were sentenced to a term prescribed by law. Grand theft is punishable by imprisonment in the county jail for a period of not less than 1 year, or for a period of from 1 to 10 years in the state penitentiary.
You have just heard Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action, and starring Jack Webb, a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.